Am I allowed to be a Twins fan?
But see, you can only if that's your American League team.
Okay, yes.
Okay, but I mean, it needs to be your American League team for the whole year. You can't in July turn around and go,
I can't.
You know, I kind of like the Astros.
I can't.
No, I kind of like the Yankees.
Because the Red Sox are my American League team.
Okay, well, then there you go.
No, you're fired.
Shh, come on.
I'm fine with it as long as they're your team.
Spring training. That's the thing about the Twins also, spring training.
I understand, but you got to pick one.
And I hate everything from Boston.
Honestly, if I had to pick one, I'd probably go with the Twins.
There you go.
This season, though, I've always liked the Red Sox.
Chastain leads for one lap. And we're watching the middle of the race. I'm going, boy, because he got the lucky dog at one point, too.
Did he win?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
He got the first lucky dog. He's getting lapped.
10 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton, on this final Monday of April? How was your weekend? Hope it went well. Thanks for starting your week off with us, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. How was your weekend?
It's tremendous.
Yeah, your son came to town.
Son came to town. Daughter had her first communion. Had the brother and sister-in-law in town. Had the godfather in town.
Everybody gone?
Everybody's, well, except for the mother-in-law. She leaves today.
Okay. Wow, it's a quick visit for everybody.
Yeah.
He's the best kind.
Damn right. Damn right. But I had a little bit of an incident on the weekend.
An incident?
Well, something you could relate to. I lost my phone.
Did you lose it or just for a few hours?
Well, after dinner on Friday night, we went back to the hotel where my daughter's godfather was staying.
Okay.
And we were overserved.
Okay.
And smartly Ubered back to my house.
Right.
But when I woke up in the morning, the phone was gone. I'd left the phone in the Uber.
Okay.
Phone has been recovered. Got it about 4:30 in the afternoon.
The next day or
yeah,
yesterday?
The next day.
Okay.
About 16 hours without a phone.
But
only about 8 that I remember because I was sleeping for some of them.
Right. So in other words, once again, someone who misplaced their phone gets it back.
Right.
Right. I put my phone down on a counter at a convenience store 4 years ago. Gone. I put my phone in a console in a rental car in Atlanta. Gone.
Yep.
Even though I returned 3 minutes and 18 seconds later to said rental car place in Atlanta. I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you. I didn't find it. Really? Didn't find it.
In fact, after getting the Uber driver's phone number from Uber and went through the process, Javier was his name. It texted him, and he was working in Marco the next day, so he had to drive up from Marco. Now he was tipped handsomely for bringing the phone back. And I do say handsomely because the look on his face when he saw what he was handed,
yeah, well,
he was pretty fired up.
Yeah, he's thinking, if I could give one of these a week, it'd be fantastic. Miller and Moulton on this Monday, an eventful weekend. Cabrera got his 3,000th hit on Saturday after Friday night's game was rained out. And it was interesting. I was wondering if he was going to, because his first career hit was a homer. His 1,000th career hit was a homer. And his 2,000th career hit was a homer. And so you wondered, no, he couldn't homer for number 3,000. And, but an opposite field single, great piece of hitting. Runner going, opening on that side. They try to pitch him inside, and he goes the other way with it. Just a great piece of hitting by a great hitter. And 33rd to reach 3,000, 7th to reach 3,000 hits and 500 home runs. And we went through this late last week. I believe it was on Thursday. We said, who's going to be next? Cano's at like 2,600 and change, but he's nearing the end. Don't know if he's going to be good enough and get enough playing time because he probably needs 3 seasons. Don't know if Major League Baseball is going to give him 3 seasons. And we started going through the others, and you got Trout. And I will say, we missed one. Manny Machado. He's not even 30 yet, and he's coming up. He's at 1,450 hits, something like that. And he's 29. And the other thing that Manny Machado does, he plays. Machado doesn't miss games. In fact, he's played the most games in Major League Baseball over the last 5+ seasons. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't even think he's halfway there.
No, he's not halfway there.
So, but we were wondering, the whole, is Tom Glavine going to be the last 300-game winner? Well, it's been nearly 15 years, and the answer really looks as if it's going to be yes. But put it this way, I don't think it's happening this decade. I think our next best shot, you figure if you've played 9, 10 plus years in the majors and you're just approaching 1,500 hits, well, then you're going to need at least that much time again.
And probably
more because you're going to slow down.
Right.
So maybe 10 years from now, could Trout and or Machado, who, by the way, the one I think they'll both be around 40.
Exactly. And they'll both get halfway this year.
Which is where Cabrera is now, right? He's 39,
yes.
About to turn 40. So in terms of when are we going to see this again? Well, maybe in 10 years. Maybe. But not sure if anybody, unless Cano has a transformation here.
But no one else that's up on the list has a real shot at it just due to numbers and age. And you're right. Machado and Trout are 20 and 21 on the active hit list at 1,446 and 1,443 respectively.
So not even halfway there.
No, and Trout's in his 12th year, Machado's in his 11th. Cabrera did this in 20 years. So if you double that, they're, just doubling that, you're talking 24 seasons.
Right. Shows you how remarkable it is. It's why it's one of the things, like when Craig Biggio got to 3,000 and some people tried to knock him and say, well, he's a compiler. You know how hard it is to quote unquote compile 3,000 hits. People held it against Don Sutton when he won his, he never won a Cy Young. And you know what it takes? 300 wins. 300 wins. That's 15 wins a year for 20 years. And you're going to somehow, some way knock that? Well, he went, shut up. Give me a break. Don't think we'll see another one, though. Really don't.
I'm with you.
Considering the Rays got their first win from a starting pitcher last night, and we're within a week of May. Now, granted, the season started late, but still.
And they're quirky in how they operate.
Right.
But
well, everyone's becoming quirky in how they operate. Don't know if you saw it over the weekend since we're talking baseball. Did you see how that Yankees game ended Saturday? Ooh, that's a bad look. So Yankees are trailing going to the ninth against the Guardians, and they score a run to tie it, and then they get a walk-off hit. And things got a little rambunctious. And Guardians outfielder crashed into the left field wall, and it looked as if some of the Yankee fans were, giving them a hard time, and the Guardian players didn't like it. And then, that right field bleacher section in Yankee Stadium, well, not bleachers, but that right field corner, they're kind of, they yell out the starting lineups before the games, and they're a bunch of regulars and all that. And for whatever reason, they kind of lost their mind Saturday. And Yankees get the walk-off hit, and they're yelling at the right fielder, and the right fielder at one point wants to charge into the stands and is being held back by teammates. They litter the field with trash, baseballs, beer. I mean, John Sterling referred to them as a bunch of hooligans. It was quite the scene.
Thought the scene between Schwarber and Angel Hernandez was quite the scene.
Well, if Schwarber could get his hands on hot dog wrappers and beer and what have you, he would have thrown it at Hernandez.
But no, the New York thing, that's just an ugly scene.
Yeah, it was not good. And when Mr. Homer referred, they're not Yankee fans, they're a bunch of hooligans. It's a good line. Well done, John. Well done. Isn't that right, Susan? But you're not going to believe this. While you were having what seemed to be a majestic weekend with family and a special weekend, I found myself watching USFL football Saturday afternoon.
Oh, I knew it would happen.
I actually met up with a friend
To watch USFL
to
football?
watch the midday game of USFL football on Saturday.
Breaking news on a lot of fronts there. You still have friends, and you went out and did something with them. I'm impressed.
Yep. It worked out perfectly. Had a nice little 3-hour window. Well,
How bad's the football?
it's funny. The game I saw was good, 30-23, including a 3-point conversion. That's right, a 3-point
Right.
conversion.
You got to do it from what, the 10?
The 10. Yep. They had scored to go up 27-23. Do the math. Why kick the extra point? And for that matter, why go for 2? You're up by more than a field goal. Let's go for 3, Woody. So they did. A little swing pass out of the backfield, one-on-one matchup. Corner missed a tackle. Bada bing, bada boom. There you go. 30-23.
The game was good.
The game was.
Was the football good?
What's-
Because you can get a close competitive game,
Right.
and you know what I'm saying here. You're watching football at the highest level on Saturdays and Sundays. This is USFL.
What is obvious is the quarterback play, to me, is the weakest part of the game, which is unfortunate because that affects stylistically and everything. And up until this past weekend, most every game had gone under. I think 2 of the games this week actually had some scoring, like 28-24 and 30-23. But for the most part, teams defensively have been ahead of the offenses. It's been easier to find linebackers, corners. Each team's got a couple of big offensive linemen. Each team's got a couple of big defensive linemen, that sort of deal. But you could tell what's really missing is the quarterback play is,
Okay.
and it goes to show, which figures,
Well,
we struggle to find enough of them on Sundays. How are we going to find enough of them in April? But I will say for both spring leagues, I don't know how you correct this unless you get a working partnership with, for instance, whether it's Green Bay loaning out Jordan Love
Or Tampa with Kyle Trask.
or even like Green Bay's got a guy that we followed because we saw him in high school, Kurt Benkert, who's their third stringer. Is there any way that you form a working relationship with one of these leagues where you actually farm one of these guys out? I don't think they'll ever do it because of injury.
I would bet they would never do it
Right.
because of injury.
So I don't know how that part of the deal ever becomes better, except for, Mark, what I think is the spring leagues are going to look more like college ball than pro. They're going to have to run the college offenses because those are the only quarterbacks who are going to be able to get their hands on.
USFL football, huh?
I know my life is not quite where I wanted it to be at this stage. I can freely admit that.
Felipe's over there going, he won't watch the NBA playoffs and he's watching USFL football? Miller and Moulton, we thank you so much for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network. Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk
free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
By the way, I hate the Zurich Classic.
I'm with you. Don't like it. The only part I liked about the weekend were the shots of the Gators.
Shots of the Gators, and the Jay Haas thing was pretty cool.
Yes.
I mean, considering he did play in his first tournament with Sam Snead.
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
So if you watched USFL, did you watch the teabag?
The what?
The teabag?
What are you talking about?
There's a teabag in the USFL, in a USFL game. Some guy got tackled, and then the dude stood over him, and then literally just went on his face.
No, I didn't.
He teabagged him. Jimmy Buckets.
We were saying before the game, they are not the most entertaining team. Of the 8 teams that are going to advance, they are maybe going to be 7 or 8 on the entertainment meter. But they're a bunch of MFers. That is going to be a tough out.
They're a bunch of MFers.
They are. And it's
7-8 on the entertainment level, 1-2 on the basketball
might
level.
not even be 7-8 on the entertainment level.
Whatever.
But
1-2 on the basketball level.
I mean, they're not a great team, but I don't know if we have one this year. Might have had one in Phoenix before Booker got hurt, but they're going to be a tough out. I mean, like, James Harden is going to be very uncomfortable for 2 weeks coming up. Very uncomfortable.
Trae Young is in a penitentiary right now, getting locked up.
And while Embiid's terrific and he's going to get his, it ain't going to be easy going up against Bam either. And he's going to make him work on the other end.
See, I disagree, because you said we don't have a great team. We do have a great team.
That's not a great team.
We're deep.
Trust me.
But
it's not a great team. You won 54 games. There's never been a great team that's won 54 games.
Okay.
All right. Great teams win 60 plus games. It's not a great team.
And great teams are also fortunate
It's
with
a
health.
very good team. Many a very good team have won an NBA championship. Many of them.
Great teams can be deep as well. And this team is very deep.
They're not great team.
They're not great.
They're not a great
They're
team.
not a great team. Is there a Hall of Famer on the team?
Yeah.
Who?
Kyle Lowry.
Oof.
Borderline.
Okay, and even if I give it to you, though, I mean, he's their what player?
Third. Or third, fourth.
Yeah.
Well, it's an older Kyle Lowry.
You think? He's
Right.
35. I mean,
I mean,
come on. They're not a great team. They're not.
I mean, if
They don't have an all-star basically on the team this year.
if Jimmy wins Finals MVP this year, is he a Hall of Famer?
He could be. He could be. And I'd have no problem with him in the Hall of Fame, by the way. But he's got to win a ring.
Right. But he's one of the best two-way players in the last
He
5
is.
years.
He's terrific. Look at that. That's what the Gators did to Comer. They just ran two guys at him. As soon as he got the ball, two guys met him at midcourt the whole game. Totally got in his head. Messed him up.
What's the latest you heard from Fly?
Not much going on. He's got something. He's got a fallback gig, but
30 seconds.
Hockey playoffs next week, RCB. Teams are down to 2 and 3 games, baby. Blades are this.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton on this final Monday of April. Big week. Our draft show on Thursday. Where are we doing this sucker from? Even my wife asked me yesterday. And this just in, I don't know is never a popular answer. Just so you know. I don't know if you're aware of that in your nearly decade of marriage. I don't know. Not a popular answer. Sometimes not the worst answer, but rarely the best answer. 72 hours out.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Okay, good. There you go. We're up for bid, though. That I know.
I figure we're at our respective houses or you're at my house with me.
We're going to be able to do that, the respective houses thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, you know me with technology. It's a fair question.
It's a fair question.
I mean, if I were you, I'd be concerned.
Not in the least bit.
All right.
Not in the least bit.
It'll be the Miller and Moulton Twitch exclusive draft broadcast. Little eating, little drinking, 4 to 5 hours of solid draft talk with you in our Twitch chat room. Believe it or not, it's our favorite show of the year. And we do a decent job. We really do, because we do our homework for this. We put more effort into this sucker than we do most of the rest of the year combined. So I'm just telling you, it's worth your time.
Yeah,
right?
if you're not a satellite radio person, you don't want to listen to Pat, because Pat does a tremendous job. But we've approached the draft a little differently. We do it from a team perspective, not a player perspective.
Right. We do it from a general manager's perspective. So it's a little different. And if you want to check it out, Thursday night, 7-ish. What's the draft start at 8? So we'll probably be on the air about 7:30. If that's the case. And Mark usually starts with beer and then makes his way to the brown stuff.
And this year, I think I'm going to take the beer off, but not start the brown stuff till later.
Okay. All right. And you can have your own little pool in which you decide at what pick Mark, crosses over into Hooked on Phonics. I mean, I always put it at about 22.5.
It's a really solid number, because that's where I had that corner going for 3 straight picks last year.
You did, which I had to keep going. Mark, he was taking 4 picks ago. Man, I missed that one.
It was late in the day. What are you going to say?
Hey, it was 11 o'clock at night. You've been drinking since 7. I'm fine. I got your back. That is for sure. By the way, speaking of the draft, just throwing this out there. If you're the Jets, would you give up the 10th overall pick for Deebo Samuel?
I know you wouldn't.
I wouldn't, no.
And
because you got to remember, if you're trading for Debo,
You got to sign him and you got to pay him.
And you're going to have to pay him 20 plus.
But the reason I would definitely consider it is, one, I don't think they're going to get that quality at 10. We know that. Two, they've got to start giving their team some help. They need weapons. The Jets have 0 weapons.
Correct.
And this is a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
I know he doesn't want to be used the way he's being used, but maybe he will appreciate being used the way he's being used when he signs his big contract.
Here's my problem, though. If he's not used the way he's being used, is he worth 20 plus million a year?
No, but I think if he gets paid $20 million a year, David, I think he's not going to have the same problem being used that way.
All right.
$100 million can change a man really quickly.
Need to have that conversation, though. I got
You're darn right.
Can't take this on spec.
No. Darn right.
4 for 90. It's like, wait a minute. You really don't want to run the sweeps? It's kind of why we got you. But no, if I were the Jets, I've got what? 4, 10, 35, 38. To me, that's 4 starters. Matt Miller from NFL Draft Scout, who I follow on Twitter, he said the Jets should be able to, at 4, 10, 35, and 38, bring in 4 guys that are arguably the best at their position group when you look at their roster. And I agree with him. To me, that's 4 starters.
It better be.
Now, Debo would be a starter, obviously, but he's also a $20+ million starter. I think I can get Jamison Williams and pay him the rookie wage. For 5 years, by the way.
Right.
As opposed to Debo, who this is the last year of a rookie wage, and then I start paying him next year. So, no, I wouldn't do it.
And I think the Jets need to do so. I think guys are looking to save jobs right now. I mean, Joe Douglas has got to get this thing going pretty quickly.
He does. Needs a good year this year. They need to win a few more games. Let's face it. The quarterback's got to look like he's the guy.
Absolutely.
I mean, why is everything worked out in Buffalo? Why is that regime had, McDermott and Bean had a good run? Because they got it right at quarterback. I mean, you got plenty of time and money to be able to fix everything else if they go, hey, good job at that quarterback position. Way to go, big fella.
100%. And right now we're still dealing with incompletes with the Jets and their quarterback situation.
So that's Thursday night.
Not to mention even their 3rd round pick at 69, this is a team that should be able to get 5 starters on the board. They really should.
I don't disagree. 5 starters goes a long way, by the way. All of a sudden, and it may not pay immediate dividends in 2022, particularly in a loaded AFC, but all of a sudden, you show up for the 2023 offseason with a ton of cash available because you got a bunch of cheap players, and you'll probably finish last and have a top 10 pick again, in which all of a sudden it's like, wow, you know what? The Jets could overnight could they pull a Bengals? And I'm not saying go to the Super Bowl, in which all of a sudden you're lousy. Oh, wow, they're pretty good.
But one of the teams that's been lousy for a bit, this is the way this league works. There's usually a double-digit loss team that ends up vying for or getting a playoff spot the next year.
Speaking of which, would you change the draft? Like, there's been talk about the NFL, because now Jacksonville's had back-to-back first overall picks. And there's been a little bit of talk of, should the NFL use the lottery?
I hope not, but I can see it coming.
Like
just another made-for-TV night for the NFL to dominate one more night of television.
But remember, then, the Jags could end up with like the
4th pick.
Yeah, 5th pick. And we've been conditioned as football fans to, do you think at the end of the year tanking is a problem?
I don't.
No, I did a few years ago, though. I think Goodell's done a good job. The last 2 weeks of the year are basically division games. I do think that matters.
I agree. In fact, didn't Detroit and Jacksonville both win?
Yeah.
The last week of the season?
Right. And Jacksonville knocked Indianapolis out of the playoffs.
So I don't think there's a tanking problem. But I wouldn't at all be surprised if the league goes to a lottery system because it makes another television night.
The reason why I don't think they will, even if the groundswell continues for it, is the NFL never wants to look like they're following any of the other leagues. And now all three leagues are going to have some kind of lottery, even in the new CBA in baseball. I think it's the top 5 or 6 picks that now get thrown into a hat. The NHL's had a lottery now for a little while. And of course, the NBA's had it since 85. That's for no other reason. I think Goodell and the NFL will go, nope, we ain't doing it. We ain't looking like them. We'll take over Christmas from the NBA. That league's done on Christmas. They better find a new day. That will do.
Again, they like their television product, and this would be a good television product. This would do very well. They would make money off of this product.
It would be like Geraldo in Al Capone's vault.
100%.
It'd be 2 hours until the very end, which may turn into nothing. Miller and Moulton.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Kyle Schwarber is the voice of America.
Yeah, the baby in hand foul ball catch is always impressive. That's always impressive.
Absolutely.
That's also impressive.
Oh yeah, left center. That's my NLT right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, did you see the security guard tackle?
Yes.
She's amazing.
The T-Wolves game you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They shut that down in a hurry.
She was just staring right at her the whole time. She just knew something was up. That woman barely got to the court.
I dragged her out like.
Dragged another one out too.
Yeah.
Dragged a second person.
Yeah, I think the video taper. Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. Final Monday of April. Draft is Thursday night. NHL playoffs begin a week from tonight. You ready?
Absolutely.
The Lightning are ready, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, they flipped the switch.
Yep. We were wondering if they were playing possum. They were bored.
Man.
Just let everybody know.
Here we are.
Yep.
Playoffs are starting.
Yep.
Everybody get ready.
Yep.
The sucker comes through Tampa. That's
Yep.
the way it works.
Exactly. Put all your money on the Panthers and the Maple Leafs, you fools. We haven't lost a playoff series in 3 years. You people forget quickly. It is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
the poignant pause over there.
It was. I'm worried about him today.
Well, he did it again.
I know.
He didn't shower.
Simple rules we have for him.
Yep. We told him, we're older than you. We've done this morning thing more than you. You need to shower. That's what gets you through the show to the midday nap, which is one of the most glorious things in the world. Honestly, your life will be better with a morning shower.
Even if it's back to back.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the other thing. So apparently he played golf yesterday, got all hot and sweaty, the whole deal. And so he's like, I had to shower before I went to bed. And we said, yeah, okay, fine. That makes sense. But then you need the 90-second, shower in the morning. Yeah, that's
you need a spritz.
Don't even have to use soap. Don't even have to use soap. Don't even have to wash your hair if you don't want to. And let me tell you, though.
That's probably what takes so long in the shower.
Right. And that is quite the look, by the way, you got going on there. Major League Baseball. Rays took 2 of 3 for the Red Sox. 5-2 the final. It took till nearly May for the Rays to have a starting pitcher get a win. Shane McClanahan, 7 innings, a 2-run ball. Yankees swept the Guardians 10-2. Marlins took 2 of 3 for the Braves. 5-4 the final. Miami 7-8 on the season. Braves are 7-10. which is not good because the Mets are 12-5. So Atlanta's 5 games back just like that. The Mets have played 5 series. They've won all 5. Now, granted, 2 of them were against Arizona and 1 against Washington, but win 5 series, that's a pretty good start.
It is. They all will play Washington a lot this year.
The Pirates did take 3 or 4 from the Cubs, and they beat them yesterday 4-3. Did you happen to see the score of the game they lost on Saturday?
21-0.
Yes. The Bears shut out the Steelers Saturday, 21 spit.
Good to see NFL preseason back.
Last night, Brewers 1-0 over the Phillies. Phillies struck out 16 times. Can't blame the Phillies for all of it. Angel Hernandez was behind the plate, and the plate was the size of Iowa. Colorado 6-2 over Detroit. Rockies won the series. You know, Colorado's 10-5.
Yes, they are.
That's just something to pay attention to, you know, for
Great
those
little
that
start.
maybe played the whole over-under game. Giants swept the Nats 12-3. The Giants are 11-5, yet they're half a game behind the 11-4 Dodgers, who took 2 or 3 from the Padres 10-2. San Diego's pretty good. They're 10-7. They're in 4th. Angels beat the Orioles 7-6. They're a game behind Seattle in the West. Seattle beat KC 5-4-12 to sweep that series. All right, let's play. Guess the attendance. Weekend series in Oakland, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Oakland, by the way, lost Friday and Saturday, 1-2-0 yesterday over Texas. We played this game, in case you missed it last week. The A's had a 3-game series at home in which for the 3 games, they drew a total of 11,000 fans. Total.
Now, this is a weekend series.
Right. Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Am I going the series or I'm just doing Sunday?
You can any day you want.
I'll do Sunday, and
Okay.
I'm going to say 6,300.
No, actually, all 3 games did better than 6,300.
Wow.
Yes, 7,012 on Friday, 9,120 on Saturday, and a whopping 11,083 for a Sunday afternoon game in Oakland.
And we thank you.
I mean, you know, a whole 27,200 people showed up for the weekend series.
That's impressive.
It's almost Florida, Tennessee in the SEC. You're not going to believe this, but the Reds finally won since their president said,
Where are you going to go?
they had lost 11 straight before beating St. Louis 4-1 yesterday. They're 3-13.
Where are you going to go?
That is not going to get old. I'm sorry. You let us know the first time that gets old.
And then I'll still use it for a month.
At least. The Twins have won 4 in a row. The White Sox have lost 7 straight, my bad. Twins beat them 6-4 in 10 as Buxton hit his second homer of the game, a 2-run walk-off that may still be orbiting Earth. It's about 470 feet. Houston snapped the 4-game skid and also Toronto's 4-game winning streak, 8-7 and 10. A couple of other baseball notes, Mark. Michael Conforto, you know, he turned down that qualifying offer, which may go away here shortly with the new CBA, but you're a veteran player, you reach free agency, team put a qualifying offer on you, most guys turn it down, and then they get draft pick compensation when you sign with someone else. So the Mets first off, a year ago, they offered him 5 years, $100 million. He turned it down. Then they put the qualifying offer on him, and he had a bad year last year, and so he could have gotten a 1-year, $18.4 million deal. He turns it down. In January, he's working out during the lockout. He hurts his right shoulder. Apparently pretty badly because he's not going to play this year. So he's making nothing. Scott Boras is the one advising him. Scott, meanwhile, is making a lot of money.
Tons.
Right. White Sox outfielder Eloy Jimenez out 6 to 8 weeks with a right hamstring injury. The Heat are up 3-1 on the Hawks. Trae Young had 9 points. Remember, in Game 2, he had 8. Jimmy Butler, meanwhile, had 36 points and 10 rebounds. Boy, are Miami.
He was great last night.
They are punking the Hawks, aren't they? They are just showing them, boys, this is how it's done. I don't know about that whole thing you did last year. I mean, you know, you played the Knicks, who were frauds, and remember, you played a Ben Simmons team. So, we're not taking that run you had last year all that seriously. Milwaukee, meanwhile, went to Chicago, won both games easily, including 119-95 yesterday. Grayson Allen with 27. They'll try to wrap the series up on Wednesday. Heat will try to wrap it up at home on Tuesday, by the way. Nuggets stave off elimination. They win game 4, 126-121 over Golden State. Jokic with 37, game 5 in the Bay Area Wednesday. And listen, Booker's out for the whole series.
Right.
Pelicans, who lost a tough game 3 by 3, won game 4 last night by 15. Big third quarter. Ingram with 30. Huge free throw disparity, 42-15. So the Suns were complaining about that. Rightfully so, though. They both took nearly the same amount of shots in the paint. And one team got 42 free throws and the other team got 15. You're not going to believe this, Mark. Ben Simmons, after it had been reported for days that he was coming back tonight, game 4 for the Nets, who are facing elimination against the Celtics, woke up yesterday with a bad sore back. Sore back.
He's done.
Just, I don't think I can go.
Pulled the chute.
Meanwhile,
he's just cruising around at 10,000 feet in that parachute right
for the
now.
whole year. For the whole year. He pulled the chute on the season, and now we don't know if he's getting paid for it. The Sixers are withholding a ton of the money that when he was with them that they owed him. And I wonder if Brooklyn's going to join suit, quite frankly. Probably not, but NHL, the Lightning beat Toronto 8-1 on Thursday night, and they went to Sunrise last night and beat a team that had won 13 in a row, 8-4. Kucherov, Stamkos, and Paul all had a pair of goals. Hedman with 4 assists. For those of you that were saying, what do you mean I'm not an elite defenseman? It's a regular season. I've played in 10 of these suckers. They don't mean a whole lot to us anymore.
Nope.
Toronto beat Washington in a shootout 4-3. The Caps are a game back of the Penguins for third in the Metropolitan, but they do have a game in hand. All the teams in the NHL right now have either 2 or 3 games left. So the Caps, with a game in hand on the Penguins, who lost in Philly last night 4-1. I don't know if it matters. Do you think get the Rangers in the first round in a 2-3 matchup, or if you're the wild card, you'll probably get Carolina right now, the way it looks points-wise, but there's not a whole lot of difference between Boston and the wild card coming out of the Metropolitan. So you tell me. I would think you'd want to finish third and get the Rangers.
Yes. I think so.
Instead of Florida or Carolina.
I might want Carolina. They're soft.
They're not. They won last night, though, 5-2 over the Islanders. They have a 4-point lead over the Rangers. They have 2 games left. Rangers have 3.
I just don't know if Carolina's tough enough.
The Panthers have all but won the President's Trophy because Colorado's lost 3 in a row. Winnipeg beat them 4-1 last night. 1 point for the Panthers the rest of the way, and they've got home ice against everybody, including in the finals. There was a magical, goosebump, maybe bring tears to your eyes ceremony before the Bruins-Canadiens game in Montreal last night to honor Guy Lafleur. And the Canadians put the montage together on the video screen, and it was 2 minutes of Guy talking over the years. And then a montage of highlights and moments over Sinatra's My Way. Go find it if you are remotely a hockey fan. It was magical, but unfortunately, this is the worst Canadiens team in forever, and they lost to Boston 5-3. Edmonton lost to Columbus 5-2. They're still in second in their division, 2 points ahead of the Kings, however. New Jersey lost to Detroit. Minnesota beat Nashville. Minnesota and St. Louis are tied for second. Blues beat Anaheim 6-3. But the Wild have a game in hand. They're going to play each other in the first round. It's just a matter of who has home ice. Vegas, with a shootout loss last night to San Jose, they are 3 points behind Dallas. Both teams have 3 games left to play for the final playoff spot out west. Ross Chastain did it again.
The Melon Man takes a Talladega.
A brutally honest post-race interview on the track in which he said, I have screwed these races up so many times. And even today, every time I kept going for the lead, I kept getting shuffled back. And I just decided this time I'm going to hang out down low. And if that means I push somebody else to the win, fine. But I am not making a move. It does not work out for me when I make a big move on these tracks. And so the second place car made the big move. The first place car goes to block him. And Chastain said, and the seas parted right in front of me.
Did they ever? Leads one lap, the most important one, the final lap.
And wins the Geico 500 at Talladega for the 29-year-old watermelon farmer from Alva, Florida. His second win of his career, second win in his last 5 races. And to show you how different things are this year, same car that he used to win the road course race, he wins on the super speedway with at Talladega. That's how versatile these cars are. There's not much to do to them.
It was, Talladega, it was what it is. You're going to get a couple of crashes, avoid the wrecks, and Chastain was there at the end.
There was a really nice moment on Saturday. Larry McReynolds was brought out of semi-retirement by Richard Childress. He was Dale Earnhardt's crew chief when Earnhardt won the Daytona 500. And he's won a few races at Talladega, and apparently they needed a crew chief for Jeffrey Earnhardt in the Xfinity race. Qualified on the pole, finished second. Kind of nice. Patrick Cantlay, Xander Schauffele won the Zurich Classic by 2. And the Tampa Bay Bandits lost, Mark. They got whooped by New Orleans. Breakers beat them 34-3. Birmingham and New Orleans, the only undefeateds in the USFL. And that was
the starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
Birmingham and New Orleans are the only undefeateds in the USFL.
That's how you wrap up the weekend, Mark. That's right. By the way, I challenge you to find USFL scores. ESPN's completely ignoring the league.
Yeah, well, that makes 2 of us.
Miller and Moulton. Thanks for waking up with us, Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
For USFL, was there anything else on other than, because there was some hockey, but
There was hockey.
there's baseball too. It is baseball season. We're not in the hockey playoffs.
I don't think we should put USFL up, to be honest.
Oh, I do.
Oh, okay.
I think that's the crux to the poll. I want to
Okay.
find out if people are watching it.
Okay.
There's a lot of football down here.
No, I know.
But I don't know if you go baseball for choice 4.
I do.
Baseball,
So baseball, basketball.
NBA Tour, USFL. Next week I'd put hockey because the playoffs will be on.
But that means we leave golf out.
I've got golf on. I've got golf, baseball, basketball, USFL. I do not have hockey on there.
Okay.
I can take.
No, I don't think you can take. DC, I just hope for you guys he stays healthy. That's all. I mean, he's got 6 homers already in 2+ weeks, and he missed damn near a week. I mean, he's tremendous, but God, I just hope he stays healthy because he's only played more than 92 games like once.
Here you go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour number 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. Thanks for starting your week off with us. You're on the Florida Sports Network. Did we come up with a poll question?
Yeah, we did. I kind of went with an oldie but a goodie. Just trying to gauge the listenership of what they watched the most of over the weekend, because you letting me know that you went out to watch the USFL.
Yes.
Is really the crux of this question.
Spent money, actually.
Right.
Met at an establishment with a friend.
Purposefully to watch the USFL.
To get out of the house. But yes. Yes.
So what sport did you watch the most of this weekend? USFL, I had to put it up there for you. NBA, PGA Tour, baseball. We didn't have any NASCAR on there. We didn't have any hockey on there.
Right. So we know we're going to get yelled at, but those are the 4 choices.
But between the Fort Myers markets and the Tampa St. Pete market, they're 2 of the largest golf markets in the country.
2 of the top 3.
Right. It is baseball season. Hockey playoffs have not yet started.
Week from tonight. Can't wait.
But mine's the NBA. I watched more NBA than I did of the other choices over the weekend.
Look at you. All right. Good job. Now, do I have to figure out my answer based on actual minutes spent watching?
Well, I mean, it does say what sport did you watch the most of this weekend. So, yes, I mean, if USFL is the answer, then USFL is the answer.
I'm going to have to figure it out. I didn't watch hardly any sports yesterday. I was working, but I think USFL might win. Close, though. Close. Going to have to figure out the minutes. Close. So feel free to vote. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, FL Sports Network, all on Twitter, floridasportsnetwork.com, and vote in our daily poll question. Hey, do you hear they're going to move second base? I'm not.
Where to?
Well, they're moving from Oakland to Vegas.
Right.
No, I'm not kidding. I'm not making this up. They're moving second base. You know how in the minors, this is where the commissioner, he tries all his stuff. So in the second half of the minor league season, second base is going to be moved inward.
Towards the pitcher's mound?
Correct.
So it'll be closer to home plate.
But also by moving it inward, it will apparently be closer to both first and third by 13.5 inches. Hey, it's math. But actually, apparently, second base is not 90 feet from first, nor 90 feet from third. That's a misnomer. It's 90 feet from home to first. It's 90 feet from home to third. It is not 90 feet from first to second and second to third. It's like 88.5.
Okay.
And actually, somebody 12 years ago wrote a thing and said, if you wanted it to be geometrically perfect, it actually needs to be moved inward. And so they are. And baseball is actually hoping that this will lead to more running.
Boy, I don't know. What are the analytics going to do with 11 inches?
13.5. But
that's like Ecuador times 2.
I understand. Yes, Major League second base in Major League Baseball, if you were with us last week, is now a top 10 nation in the country.
Damn right they are.
In the world. But we digress. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com and download it if you missed. All right. The USA, 59th?
We are
59th.
Yeah, we're in the tourney.
Right. We're in the tourney.
59.
Right.
Measuring in at 3.35 inches.
Right. And that's
Ecuador's number 1. If you don't know what we're talking about, I don't know how you didn't just figure it out.
Right. That's measuring the size of things below your waist.
Not length, or it's length,
Right.
not girth.
Right. So back to their moving second base. First off, does this totally alter the old Abbott and Costello routine? But in seriousness, this is something that, how does this come up? And you know us, we're all for change. We'd be the two yahoos in the back of the room going, well, have you thought about this? This never would have come up.
They've only been playing the game for 130 years.
Add a couple decades, right?
So
no.
How did this offseason become the time that someone says,
listen,
what we need to do is move second base?
Well, all that time they weren't negotiating with the players. They had a lot of free time to think of things.
And David, if it gets more running in the game, well, then it works.
Next year, we're going to have pitch clocks, shift limits. Listen, also in the second half of most minor league baseball seasons, there will be experimentation with robot umps. And if you watched Sunday Night Baseball last night, Angel Hernandez may be doing more to bring in robot umps than anyone else in the history of the sport. So first off, I did not realize that it was never 90 feet from first to second to third.
Did not either.
Thought it was perfectly symmetrical. Thought it was a perfect square.
All the bases were 90 bases. That's what we've been told.
Right.
60 feet, 6 inches to the pitcher's mound.
Right.
These are numbers that we've known for a long time. They fly off the tongue.
Right. So for 135 years, the bag has been in the wrong darn spot. Who knew? Apparently, Tom Schreiber did. He's a baseball researcher. He figured this out 12 years ago. You have a feeling this was the report that was sent in and somebody was cleaning out the drawer and they found it and they just talked about it a few months ago?
It certainly seems like this was, second base is in the wrong spot. I'll put that here. We'll get back to that later.
Yep. So, they're hoping it'll lead to more running. Less ground to cover to steal a base, less ground to cover to go from first to third. It may sound silly to you, but if you're saving 13 and a half inches from first to second and you save the same amount, I mean, that's almost 2.5 feet. That's 27 inches.
It's a stride thereabouts.
How many bang plays in which, the glove and then, now all of a sudden the bag's essentially, you have 2.5 less feet to cover ground. I mean, and a little more than a foot less ground to cover if you're trying to steal second. I mean, for those of us that watch baseball pretty regularly, it could make a difference. Could make you decide to run more. And clearly
not in the analytics. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes.
So apparently, by the way, most people in Major League Baseball were not consulted about this.
Well, that seems to be how Manfred wants to do things these days. I've got an idea, and I'm going to implement it now, and I don't care what you think.
Last year, by the way, care to guess, success rate of stealing bases last year. Now, they're running less than ever before.
Right.
But the success rate when they do run is what?
60%.
77. Wouldn't you want to
run more?
Yeah, it's just a thought. Up a little over 2% from the year before. So,
all right.
Just, it's a headline grabber. They're moving second base.
It is a headline grabber.
Are we moving to the suburbs? What are we doing with it?
Always wanted to downsize. I only want 3 bases now. I want home plate, first and third.
Well, and that's another thing. They're going to make the bases bigger. Now, I can actually reason the whole moving of the bag. The making it bigger part, do we think this is for safety?
That's what I've always thought.
That this way there's more room on the bag for the base runner. It's got enough room
to not be step on an ankle
and the fielder's got enough room to put, I don't know, but they're going to make the bags bigger. And then they're going to move second base back into the city, I guess.
Right.
Technically, they're moving it closer to home plate.
Think you'd have more second to third sack flies now?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Hey, listen, those that play golf regularly, I mean, you guys know when you walk up to a 150-yard marker and you stand at it and you look and you go, yeah, that ain't 150. And it could be 146, but you just you play a lot of golf. You know, you stand there and you go, this ain't 150 yards. I'm telling you. If I hit a 150-yard shot from here, it is not going to land in the middle of the green. I may fly this green, or I'm going to land at the I'm just telling you, this is not 150. And I don't know, Mark, if you were ever like this, I would, especially if when I was younger and we'd be out, high school and college, and we're out messing around, we're going to play a practice round and the meet's the next day, and you'd get to this 150 marker and you just don't think it is. You just drop a ball and you hit your 7-iron. And it lands, and you go, I told you this wasn't 150.
Well, the good thing now is there's not anybody that's out walking around with a rangefinder in their bag. So I haven't used a 150 marker for judgment, and I'm
so you still don't visually use anything. You just grab the thing and go.
It sits in the cart next to me, and it's and David, it's gotten to the point where everybody has one. Usually, your playing partner's doing it for you.
And so I'm just wondering if it'll be one of those things in which, if you're a professional baseball player, even in the minors, you've been playing this game a long time. Will 13 and a half, you're standing on first base and you look over, you go, wow, that looks a lot shorter. Because it's not a big deal. It's 13 and a half inches.
Nope.
But what it's always looked like your whole life. And now you're going to stand there and go, does look shorter.
I mean, you would think if that percentage is 77% success rate, that it would have to go up from this.
Right.
Which in theory would get teams running more. Would get more hit and runs, get more first to third type.
So I just wanted to throw that out there. I didn't want folks to be alarmed when they see or hear in the next 2 months a story about, wait, they're moving second base? And where are they moving it to? Apparently Nashville, because that's where everything else is being moved to.
Right.
Either the
Their
suburbs.
$2 billion for the team is getting them second base right now. They're not getting a whole team. They've just gotten second base.
Where are you moving? Well, second base is moving to either the suburbs or Nashville. That's where everybody's going these days. Miller and Moulton. The poll question, would you find yourself watching the most of this weekend?
Oh, there are USFL votes, David.
Really?
There are USFL votes.
Yes. Yes.
Early lead for the NBA. You and Felipe could just be the happiest you've ever been on a Monday. If NBA could win a poll question and USFL just shows up, unbelievable.
Oh, wow. Just keep talking dirty to me, Mark. Keep talking dirty to me.
Miller and Moulton. Matt Cannata coming up next hour. Talk a little draft with him on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
because I don't know if I have all the information. I want to make sure I've got all my information correctly on this.
Because I want to fight it while being in the country.
Totally. I'm totally with you.
Okay. I ain't going to have any luck fighting it over there. All right. But if I'm here.
Because we had guys stay all the time. And they, some guys literally would fly to Canada and fly back in the same day.
Yeah. There you go. What? Get things stamped or what have you?
But I mean, have we ever done that before? We've certainly denied visas from countries.
For sports?
No, I don't see this.
We've done it with students. We've taken away student visas for a while from certain countries. We certainly, obviously for a couple of years here with the pandemic, we denied people flying in.
Totally there, but that was right. Travel. That wasn't a visa.
We did visas. We had disputes with countries, and we stopped taking students from China and elsewhere. What was really upsetting is the Canadian team is so bad that they couldn't respond and give one moment to this fan base this year. But they're awful. And they couldn't. And Boston was playing this second in as many nights and still couldn't beat them. Well, we touted this first round, August, which has not been as good as we thought it would be in terms of competitive series. We thought there'd be a lot more 2-2s than there are.
In the East, no, but in the West, absolutely.
Well, the 2-2-2s are out West.
Right, but
I thought
the East.
You really thought that Boston was going to be up 3-0 on Brooklyn?
I thought that'd be 2-2.
That I didn't think so, but
I thought that'd be a 2-2 series.
Right, but I knew that on the East at least it's going to start getting really interesting in round two.
If you told me Philly was going to be a 3-1, well, I thought it was going to be 2-2. I didn't think they'd be up 3-0 and up 3-1.
But honestly, the whole Thibault not being able to play in Toronto thing, we kind of over exaggerated that one because they're still a good team without him.
Although they are only a 3-point shot away from being 2-2.
Right, and Scotty Barnes has not played since game 1, and he just won Rookie of the Year. He's very good. But it's going to start getting interesting in round 2.
Second time this year, FGCU swept Stetson. I don't know when that's happened.
College World Series starts in May, right?
No, College World Series is June because conference championship weekend is Memorial Day weekend.
Gotcha. I like the College World Series. Omaha.
Jeez, Klecko. It's a hell of a question. Greatest Montreal Canadian.
It's like asking the greatest Yankee. It's pretty tough.
Yeah, Paul, it's baseball, though. It's tough to lose 6 straight games to another team.
Did the Flower ever play for the Canadians?
The Flower was a Canadian.
He was a Canadian.
He was Canadian.
Most of his career. Played a little bit with the Rangers in Quebec at the end.
So are the Canadians like the Yankees of the NHL? Yes, 100%.
In fact, until this, they had the most championships in team sports in North America until the Yankees started their thing in the 90s. The Canadians had more championships.
Mark, how many do they have total?
Is it 24?
20.
Holy.
Yeah, look, yeah. Yeah, Paul, I'm hoping to broadcast them.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes after the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. Matt Cannata, as we dive into the draft, top of the hour. Darren Heitner, instrumental in a lot of the NIL stuff that is going on. First minute of the first day, he helped strike the deal for the Cavender twins, and he and NIL have been off and running ever since. We're going to get 10 minutes with Mr. Heitner in our bonus hour. If you don't get it, you may want to download it shortly after the fact or find a way to listen live via streaming, but you can always download anything you miss on Miller and Moulton at floridasportsnetwork.com.
And a reminder, you can watch the show, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton, where we will do our Thursday night draft show. The entire first round, David and I will do it more from a general manager perspective than from a player perspective. It's how we've always done the draft. We have a good time with it. We take it very seriously and have a lot of fun at the same time, but join us on twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. Thursday around 7:30, we'll get started.
If the talk is to be believed, and oftentimes it's not, but if the talk is to be believed, maybe a wide receiver in the top 10, maybe a running back in the first round, maybe, and no quarterback taken before the Saints at 16. I mean, that's the information that's out there, that everybody's beginning to do their final mock drafts, write their story saying, okay, this is the latest that I'm hearing. Like the guy who's rising really late is Stingley, is what I'm hearing. That Stingley, who, maybe was going to go 12 to Minnesota, but, could have been had by the Eagles or the Saints there in the mid-teens, that you're starting to hear a lot of, he wasn't really interested at LSU last year. And the more that we look into it, it was a bit of a you-know-what show in Baton Rouge last year. And the year before that was the pandemic year. But, when he really played, we thought he was one of the 5 best players in the country. Well, guess what? He's really interested in playing again. And you should work this guy out. He's amazing. So I'm starting to hear more of Stingley in the top 10. I don't know who that necessarily pushes out, but, here we are 3 or so days away from the draft. But it's going to be the most unsexy draft since at least 2013. And that was the year in which, E.J. Manuel was the only first-round quarterback and Geno Smith went in the second round, something like that. Although I think we're going to get, and this could be a poll question for later in the week, how many first-round quarterbacks? I still think the number is going to be 3.
I would bet right on that number, because I think Willis, Pickett go, and I think the kid from Cincinnati goes. Ritter will go late, 30, 31, 32, somewhere in there.
Right, and I think there's a chance of Tennessee at 26 for Ritter. But, if Willis or Pickett is going to go to the Saints at 16 or 19, and then Pickett or Willis is going to go to the Steelers at 20, and then it's a matter of, who's going to take Ritter? Who's going to trade in to take Ritter?
And as Gardner's the first corner that they're talking about taking, but there are stories out there that are now saying Stingley might be every bit as good.
I think Gardner's more physical. I will say this. Stingley couldn't cover Devontae Smith. I wouldn't draft him if I was an NFC East team, because he could blanket anybody else. He had nothing for Devontae. Devontae eat him up in high school. He eat him up at college. Devontae's in his head, man. He owns them. Everybody else he can blanket.
So that's a little bit of what we'll be getting into Thursday. And then the other, just looking at the corners, that's what I was paying attention. One of the things I read over the weekend, the kid from Washington, because there's like three, the book that I trust the most has 3 first-round grades on corners. Doesn't mean there won't be more taken, but 3 first-round grades on corners. A kid from Washington, Stingley from LSU, and Gardner from Cincinnati.
But because of it, it's difficult to see where is the trade. Where, like Carolina, do they have the guts to take a quarterback as high as 6? Because let's be honest, you do that, you're putting your job on it. Now, the reports are that his job's already on the line, but you take quarterback at 6, higher than most people think you should, like when Gettleman took Daniel Jones at 6. I mean, the minute you make a pick like that, you're putting your job on it.
All right, let me ask you a question. We all know the 3 quarterbacks that could be taken in the first round. Kid from Ole Miss, Matt Corral, Sam Howell at North Carolina. Is there anybody else? And I ask you this because you've, 1, seen a few more up close, but 2, you've had a pretty good track record with going, I like Dak Prescott. I think he's going to turn out to be able to play a little bit. Is there somebody that's not a first rounder that you think has a little something?
Not really. I do not think it's a good quarterback draft class. Of the ones that aren't going to go in the first round, the one that interests me is Corral. First off, I think Lane's really good with quarterbacks. And he played well for Lane, and he played very effectively for Lane, and he was a leader on that team. I think he's, in terms of a second-round prospect, Corral interests me. Not as a guy, though, I'm drafting because I'm absolutely positive that he's going to be our quarterback of the future.
And he's going to be a day 2 pick. Someone's going to take him on Friday.
And that's why you wonder, will the Saints especially, will they bypass quarterback at 16 and 19?
I would if I were them.
And because I think there's a chance that you can get both Howell and Corral with your second-round pick, if that's the direction you want to go. Do the Falcons?
Well, that's fascinating with the Falcons in New Orleans both, because Atlanta in the second round's at 43. The Saints are at 49.
And does Atlanta go quarterback with their second-round pick? Some people think they may go receiver with their first-round pick at 8.
And Atlanta has 2 second-round picks. They pick at 58 as well.
But it will be a pretty, no running backs, at most 1 running back. There's only 2 running backs that really have first or second round grades. The kid from Michigan State, the kid from Iowa State. There's not a sexy tight end in this draft.
No, there's not.
1 is not expected to go in the first round, although I've seen many in NFL people that think there are 5 starting tight ends in this draft, but that you can get them as early as the 3rd round.
And
so,
Pat's down on you got the kid from Notre Dame and Hamilton, but Pat's down on the safeties after that. He doesn't think it's a very good group.
Well, if Hamilton doesn't go to Washington at 11, it'll be very interesting how far he falls. Like if Zimmer was still in Minnesota, he wouldn't fall past 12. But if he doesn't go at 11 to Washington, Hamilton could fall.
And someone like New Orleans might grab him because
they need one.
They need one, and you got 2 picks in the first round, and you fill a big hole right now.
They need a tackle, they need a safety, and they need a wide receiver. So, yes.
And they should be able to get the tackle and the receiver for certain with those 2 picks. The last time they had 2 first-round picks, that's what they did.
And my guess is if Hamilton fell, they would take Hamilton, they would take the tackle, and then they would grab the receiver in the second round. So the draft is Thursday night, and this is some of what is going to be discussed. It is a draft for the geeks.
It really is.
Miller and Moulton.
A couple of geeks that we hope you hang out with on Thursday night. Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, the Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with the Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So, is the phrase hooked on phonics referring to when someone's hammered? Bingo.
Because you have trouble speaking and you can only speak in hard consonant sounds.
Right.
Right.
So you're hooked on phonics.
There you go.
You know, so many things that I've never heard in my life are said in the show.
Yep. Couple of old guys. Do you drink more if it's a goober draft or if it's an exciting draft? That's the question.
That's what we're calling this draft, a goober draft.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that because right now my plan is to not drink a whole lot this week, but it's Monday.
Well, and he went at it pretty hard this weekend, so I think there's a chance there's not much drinking this week, which will lead to a very good chance of a lot of drinking on Thursday. That's my scouting report.
It's a really good scouting report.
It doesn't mean, that he doesn't make moves to counteract that report. I mean, who knows? Tuesday night, some SEC gymnastics on tape is on, and all hell breaks loose at the Miller house.
I don't see that happening. I see a lot of naps this week. I need to catch back up.
All right, KM, I'll say this. Imagine you're a Stingley where basically you're going to LSU to play football. And after your freshman year, and the league knows, and everybody knows that you're an NFL player right now. And you have to spend 2 more years at LSU. And you're a top 10 pick in the league if you came out after your freshman year, if you were eligible to. How would those 2 years go for you? The first of those 2 years is a pandemic year. And now you're a year away from the draft. I mean, I got to be honest. If I was Stingley, I wouldn't have played. I would have opted out. I would have gone to IMG. I would have worked out and gone to the beach because I ain't getting hurt. Because the only thing this year is going to do for me is cost me millions of bucks. So I wouldn't be so hard on him.
So why is this Angel Hernandez guy still
Union?
There you go.
That's ridiculous, man.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I
And
mean-
actually, when Joe Torre left the Yankees and he got a job with Major League Baseball, his job was to basically, one of his jobs was to weed out the bad umpires. And they came up with a way to start grading them a lot harder and all that. But they were never able to fire an Angel Hernandez.
Oh. I mean, he's infamous.
Now, the other thing is, he's, besides the fact that he's bad, he has the worst attitude in the league. And if you notice, no one's talking to him. All these highlights, guys are slamming stuff, but they're not looking at him. They're not talking to him because he'll eject you for a look.
Schwarber waits till the end.
The very end. Yeah. 2 outs in the ninth.
Oh, so worth it. He got his money's worth.
And of course, the Milwaukee catcher's like, I ain't saying a word because you hold grudges for 20 years.
Right. I wonder where On Hill is from.
Angel? I think he's Cuban.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. Hope you had a great weekend. We thank you for starting your week off with us here on the Florida Sports Network. Poll question, what did you find yourself watching the most of this weekend? And we know we left a couple of things out that may have been your sport of choice, but what do we throw out there? USFL, little golf, little baseball, little basketball?
Yeah. Left off the NASCAR, left off the hockey.
Now, I will say I didn't watch the whole NASCAR race, but I did watch the last third of it.
I watched a pretty big chunk. It would have been tough. It would have been 1 and 1A between the NBA and NASCAR.
The last stage, I was all shocked, by the way, no caution in the final stage. I mean, usually
After the way they raced the first 2 stages, which was ultra aggressive for Talladega.
And, you know, normally you get the big wreck at a super speedway.
What's happening to me?
I know what's happening to you. Ross Chastain and your son is what's happening to you.
My son and my daughter. Because my daughter, when I put on a race, she immediately wants to know where Kyle Busch is. Even though yesterday he was racing in his Interstate Batteries car, that was okay. Because it's the double mint gum, it's the M&M, and it's the Skittles.
Well,
and the M&M and Skittles, those are go-tos for a 7-year-old.
Not that marketing's effective or anyway.
Right.
Right. But Kyle Busch is a fan for life because he was driving the M&M and the Skittles car.
Maybe we'll see what happens because they're out next year.
That's right. This is it. Last year.
M&M and Skittles on one car.
Yeah, they alternate.
They alternate.
Right.
Oh.
But so that they're out. M&M Mars is their relationship with Busch is done after this year. So we'll see.
They did like 15 years.
I know.
With him. I mean, that's a good run.
I know. It's a great looking car too.
Yes, I agree.
Both the Skittles and the M&M car look good.
I agree. You know, it's fascinating to hear Chastain being interviewed on the track. Did you notice? Listen, we're biased. We know him a smidge. All right, he's come on the show a few times, and yes, we're desperately trying to get him on again. This just in. He's a little harder to get on the show now than he was before this season. All right, he's been good to us. We're fans, the whole deal. But when he won the first time in California in the road race and all that, because his thing after he wins, watermelon farmer, he smashes the watermelon. But then he picks up a piece off of the ground because it's not all lying face down.
Right.
There's some that's lying, you know, just on the skin. So he picks it up and he starts eating some watermelon.
Damn right.
Well, the first time when he won, he had some watermelon stuff caught in his, half beard there.
Right.
And afterwards,
and he needs it because if not, he looks 10.
and he's all of 29.
Right.
Which makes him like middle-aged on the NASCAR circuit, but that's another story. So he sees the post-race interview after he wins the first time, and he basically was like, oh, come on, why didn't you let me know I had, some crud sitting there in my beard? It looked awful doing this 5-question interview after his first win of the whole deal. So he wins again. He smashes the watermelon, and he jumps down, and he grabs a piece that's not laying face down. And they go to interview him, and he starts eating the watermelon, and he stops, and he says, now, come on, man, before I go any further, do I have any of it in my beard? But he was open and honest in the post-race, in which he said, hey, man, when the year started, we had a lot of races where we didn't have a sponsor. I mean, there's 36 of these races, and we had like half the season that, we went to Daytona and what have you. I'm the number 2 car, this new track, side.
Trackside is this,
track house, whatever it is. I think it's trackside. And, I'm the number 2 car, and we've got some sponsorship, and my teams come over, but, I got half the season where, I'm riding for free, so to speak. And then we had got a little something going, and then we won one, and we got some sponsors, and he goes, and now we damn near have the full season, and think about that. I mean, he's not. Now, I tweeted out yesterday, Ross Chastain is a star, but he's not.
No.
Not. He's trying to be.
He's a budding star
Right.
in NASCAR.
Right.
He's got a little something going, and trackside racing's got a little something going right now. I mean, they're having a hell of a year. He's won 2 races, for crying out loud. He's a lock in the playoff now. I mean,
he's got like 6 top 5s.
Right.
I mean, in like his last 7 races. I mean, they're on a roll. But I found it interesting that it was only a couple months ago he was saying, yeah, we were lacking sponsors, man. This is going to be quite the year. Because I think the question was, hey, you surprised at your success? And he's like, surprised? He goes, we're like a first-year team. I didn't have sponsors 2 months ago. Yes. Although he did say, he goes, you know what? The owner, he said this was going to happen. I mean, he all but said, I didn't believe him. He described it as he was very aggressive with his vision, was how he described it. Translation, he said we were going to do this. I said, no way, but I'll take the ride anyway.
Exactly. So great day for Ross yesterday. And like David said, we are efforting.
Definitely.
At the very least, we are efforting to get Ross back on with us here in the not too distant future.
Miller and Moulton. You want to chime in on this Ben Simmons thing?
I don't even know what to say, because this has lasted so long that it's a back injury. There's nothing we can really say because we don't know. And you could look really foolish calling someone out with a bad back and saying that he's soft or he's not willing to play. All the things that I think everybody out there is thinking.
Well, and some said, and it's one thing for a Stephen A. Smith to say it, but it's another thing for a Reggie Miller to say it. I mean, Reggie Miller dogged him, just came out and said, come on, dude, you got to play. Said, you got KD and Kyrie. You guys don't need much more. 2 of the 3 games have been really close. I mean, if you can go in and give them anything, you win 1 game with KD and Kyrie, anything is possible.
Well, I guess the Sixers won the trade then.
No, that's not true. That's not true. Because this is a trade in which you're going to judge 5-6 years from now. Because remember, Harden's going to get the super max extension. James Harden's going to be making $55 to $68 million a year beginning like 2 years from now. All right. And so there's just believe me, there's a part of this trade in which Simmons could never play for the Nets. And there are people that wonder whether the Sixers are going to win the trade. Because if they don't cut down the Nets, I don't know if they're going to win the trade.
Thank you. And I mean, we were talking about this during one of the breaks. When the Heat in the next round play the Sixers, James Harden's going to have a rough go of it. He is going to see some defense. We've been watching and marveling at what they've done to Trae Young in this series against the Hawks. Harden will do better because he's a better player. But if the Heat shut down Harden essentially and make him look bad in 3-4 games and win 4 games to 2, okay, well, that's already 1 year of the trade that's down the tubes.
And then both sides are getting older.
The problem is Embiid in that series.
Well, of course it is.
I think Bam, you said earlier, and I agree, Bam will do a good job on Joel, but I don't think he'll stop him.
No. Well, no, unless
Nobody's
he misses his
gonna stop
shot,
him.
nobody's going to stop him.
We don't have
no offense, he's not Karl Anthony Towns. Joel Embiid is 2 times better than Karl Anthony Towns.
265.
Right. But getting back to Simmons and what have you, Mark, that's your point. We have always said it is almost reckless when someone has a back injury, because this is the one thing that I think the weekend warrior can actually relate to with a professional athlete. A bad back is a bad back. It's another reason why we marvel at Tiger. I mean, Tiger's got his, back fused,
Right.
for goodness sakes.
And I think you can definitely question Ben Simmons' toughness.
Yes.
Okay? Because we've all seen athletes with, whether it back pain, knee pain, whatever the pain, play through pain, play with pain. It doesn't appear that Simmons has any desire to play with, that he almost feels he has to be at 100% to be able to play. So I think you can definitely question his toughness.
Especially during the postseason.
Now, we're not professional athletes, obviously. State the obvious. And so I don't know how this goes over in the room. Like, were they really counting on him? And now this is going to linger the whole offseason, in which he's got another locker room that totally doubts him as he enters next year. Does he still have a bad back? Is this just a one? Because I got to be honest. Where did this bad back come from? He didn't play. Had he hurt his back? When did this happen? How did it happen? If I was the Nets, I'd really want to know. And did you make this deal? No. Did he have a bad back while he was sitting out with the Sixers? I thought he was sitting out with the Sixers because he had anxiety issues and he didn't want to play for them. And they were like, fine, stay home. And by the way, we're not going to pay you. See you in court. So now all of a sudden he's got a bad back.
Like I've said, it's hard to start questioning the back thing, but I can question the man's toughness. He is not a tough basketball player. He's not a tough athlete. There's not a doubt in my mind that he's soft as baby poo.
Well, listen, I am not a Stephen A. fan. He did say something yesterday that a lot of us have forgotten, though. Remember, he quit on LSU. He only played 1 year at LSU. He dogged it. Played about half a season, and then second half of the year, he shut it down. They didn't even make the tournament.
Not even close to the tournament.
No, they were like a 500 team.
No, they were well under 500, I believe.
And then, so he's like, he quit on LSU, he quit on the Sixers, and now he's quitting on the Nets, and he hasn't even played for them yet. That's a reputation.
And right after they lose game 3, too. Oh, I'm not playing game 4, by the way.
Yeah, if they would have won, was his back better?
Right, exactly.
And see, now that's what you open yourself up to. So if it was 2-1, are you playing? But since you're down 3-0, you're like, the hell with them. I'll see you next year. What if they win and stave off elimination? Now, there are those that are arguing it's absurd to have not played all year and to throw them in the playoffs when facing elimination. That if you did it to anybody, whether they're coming off any kind of injury, that they think it would be absurd to do this to anyone not named Ben Simmons. That's a whole separate argument. But he was the one that said, I mean, come on now. He through Nets officials, I'm working out. He was working out to come back.
Telling media members, make sure you get this on camera. Look, I'm working out.
He certainly gave us every indication that he was going to play this year. Once the trade happened.
This is a masterclass on how to make yourself a hateable player.
But you brought up briefly, Felipe, about Harden and Embiid and how long do they have to win and what have you. Do just want to point out, this will be 3 years now for KD and Kyrie. This is 0 for 3.
2 seasons, though.
It's another year off. Listen, the rings on the tree don't go away just because you miss a year injured. KD missed the first year injured. They got bounced by Milwaukee last year, and now this is year 3. KD's in his 30s now, man. Now, he may be great for another 8 to 10 years. He's getting beat up here. They better get him some help. He's playing way too many hard minutes. He's having to play both ends of the floor hard. They better start looking out for him. He's not playing full seasons. Kyrie's not playing full seasons.
You think if Harden was on the team right now, they'd be winning this series?
No, I think no. That actually was the big mistake. I think if they had stayed Kyrie and KD, they'd actually have won a championship because they had a great role cast around them, and all it needed to be was supplanted. And I actually think they broke up a good thing when they brought in Harden.
Yeah, they had Jared Allen. Look at him now. He's an all-star.
But the Ben Simmons saga, and the other factor is he's going to not play this year and get paid. This year is going to linger for a long time. Adam Silver and the NBA PA are going to have a long, hard conversation going forward. And Ben Simmons is going to be a part of it.
Miller and Moulton. Well, a little NBA talk there. What sport did you watch the most of this weekend? The NBA leading over baseball, the PGA Tour, and the USFL, David, getting votes.
What?
Getting votes, hanging around.
What did he say?
Take it easy over there, big fella.
Go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, or FLSportsNetwork.com. It will be at FloridaSportsNetwork.com momentarily as well, right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove, with a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
KD is 33.
Umpire auditor.
Yes.
Angel Hernandez missed 19 calls for a percentage of 85% was his correct percentage.
Wow.
He
Damn!
ruled 6 batters on pitches that were outside the zone and called a strike to Gene Segura that missed inside by a season high 6.47 inches.
Damn.
Can you put my computers in now? Beep, no beep. Are you ready?
Hey, if Angel Hernandez is the standard, I would have put the computers in 15 years ago.
Video games in Hollywood. Sounds about right, team. It's all Ben Simmons gives a shit about. He just seems like the biggest a-hole on planet Earth.
Oh, Matt Cannata retweeted.
Always does. Well, when you said that, I had to get that out. He usually pops in here, too.
Polls up on the website.
That's what I like to hear.
Yes, sir.
What do we got? Huh?
Huh? What did he say?
Huh?
What are you, Kanye? Huh? KD is 33. What was LeBron doing to the Celtics at 33?
Well, LeBron's 37 now, so that was only 4 years ago. He wasn't doing it to the Celtics at 37.
He was
He was
kicking
doing
their
it.
ass.
He was doing it to the Celtics at 28.
No, he was doing it to the Celtics at 33. He was beating their ass. That's what he was doing.
Yeah, LeBron's built like a tank.
Yeah,
True.
KD's not.
Right. There's levels to this.
Well, DC, they don't defend him personally. They just stick up for the union. I don't understand
Never understood that.
why baseball could not get rid of him based on performance. I'm all for unions. I think they do a lot of good, but there's got to be the part of the equation where bad employees can be removed.
Matt's on hold. We're back in 10.
You didn't test the phones, did you?
Oh,
Nah.
listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Final hour of Miller and Moulton for those of you in Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, Venice, Lake City, and surrounding areas, just halfway home if you're in the 239. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Matt Cannata is kind enough to join us once again, 3 or so days away from the draft. Matt's, well, he founded Pro Football Network. You can follow him on Twitter at Cannata PFN. That's Cannata with 2 N's and 1 T. Matt's, David and Mark, how you been?
Good, David and Mark. How are you? It's draft week. You ready?
We are definitely ready. We just want to hear from you. Throw it in underhanded to start. What is it?
I told my wife and kids this morning I'll see them next Monday. It's fun.
What is it that you have heard in the last 72 hours that is significantly different than what you thought you knew last Thursday?
Yeah, there's a few things. Let's start with number one, right? Let's start with the Jaguars. And there's been a lot of different things about who they might pick. If it's going to be Trayvon Walker, is it going to be Aiden Hutchinson? What we reported over the weekend was that it looks like it will be Aiden Hutchinson, and the thinking in league circles will be the edge rusher from Michigan. Now, of course, obviously, they could decide to go to Trayvon Walker, and the smoke has been around that, but we're hearing that it's going to be Aiden Hutchinson. The QBs obviously are a big topic. It's a down year for quarterbacks, which means that probably these quarterbacks will be the best ever in a draft class, but there's not a lot of buzz around them, right? There's no clear QB1. The thought is that Malik Willis will be the first QB taken off the board, followed by Kenny Pickett, and then either Desmond Ridder or Matt Corral. Ridder, Tony Pauling on our site reported that Ridder's getting a lot of first-round grades around the league. However, there is some momentum with Corral, and more teams feel within league circles that he could end up in the top 32. So right now, it looks like the Saints and the Steelers, you can probably pencil in a QB with some confidence in the first round. There's also the possibility that the Seahawks can move into the back end of round one and grab their QB of the future as well. And if that happens, then you also need to keep an eye on Baker Mayfield, right? Because what's the situation with him? We reported last night that it's likely that Baker Mayfield will be traded on the second or third day of the draft. And Panthers and Seahawks are in the mix, of course. If the Seahawks, like I just said, trade back into the bottom of round one, they'll be out on the Mayfield sweepstakes. The interesting part, we didn't tweet this out last night, but we will be in a little bit. Remember Brock Osweiler, and the Texans had to trade him to the Browns, but they basically had to pay his salary to make that happen. The Browns, what we're hearing, the Browns will have to pay a large portion of Mayfield's contract in 2022 after they trade him. And as one source told us, the Browns will essentially be buying a draft pick. That's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more that we've been hearing and so forth about the offensive tackles. Trevor Penning may go to the Seahawks at 9. There's been a lot of smoke around that. We're not totally sure on that. People say that's a reach because Penning has, the nasty attitude, but there's some questions about his technical abilities. But league insiders are saying that despite all that, though, there is a definite possibility the Seahawks go in that direction, and it could be a potential choice in the top 10.
This is not the sexiest draft at the top. When do you see a quarterback receiver? I mean, you already talked about the quarterback. But will we get a receiver before 10? I mean, is this just going to be a lot of big uglies, if you know what I mean, in the first part of the draft, and the action will start happening somewhere around that pick 16?
Yeah, and it's evident because our own third-party research that we've done within the analytics that we have shown that there is about a 52% decrease in interest across the industry around this year's draft class. It's wild, but like you just mentioned, it's because there's nothing crazy at the top 10, right? When you look at our consensus big board, our first wide receiver on the board is Garrett Wilson at number 10 overall, and then you have Drake London at 15 and Jameson Williams. I'm not so sure. Now, what I will say is this. We could see a pick move in the top 10 for Deebo Samuel. Tony Pauling on our site reported that the Jets are all in on using one of their first-round picks to acquire Deebo Samuel, and it could happen with number 10. So keep an eye on that one. I don't know when, you're looking at, the needs of wide receiver. This is a very wide receiver rich draft, right? And there could be as many as 20, 22 receivers drafted by the 5th round of the draft. But when you start trying to, figure out, okay, look at the trenches, look at first QB, the Falcons might make sense for a wide receiver there at 8. You can go down a little further. The Chiefs probably make sense for a wide receiver if they can trade up and get one of the star ones, maybe Jameson Williams or so. But I think you'll see a little bit scattered, but kind of like the other positions, you're going to see them bunched up as we go on to the 2nd round, 3rd round, and so forth.
Matt, why, if you're the Jets, do you give up number 10 for Debo and then have to pay him, say, $22.5 million a year for 4 or 5 years, when you could just take the best wide receiver in the draft, pay him 1/4 to 1/3 of that, and just move on with your life? Why? I mean, is Debo, he had one tremendous year, but I mean, 10th overall pick, $100 million, 70 of it guaranteed. I feel like there's stick in the mud here, but I wouldn't do it.
I hear you. I hear you. And I see someone in the chat saying because they missed it on Tyreek Hill, and I think that's the reason, right? Because they basically had Tyreek Hill in the bag. And then the Dolphins kind of swooped in at the last moment once they got wind of it and took him away from them. And so when you're the Jets, when you're trying to build around Zach Wilson, you don't have a good wide receiver group. When you're trying to essentially, Joe Douglas needs to have a really good year this year. I mean, hell, there were questions about Robert Saleh being on a hot seat last year. Obviously, that didn't get to that point. He's the first-year coach and needs to establish the culture. But there were some chatter that, there were some eyes opening within the Jets building about the job that Saleh was doing. And they both need to have a really good year. And when you can get a proven guy, and remember, Saleh came from the 49ers and knows who Samuel is, you're paying a premium for that, but you're also paying a premium for a guy that, showed at least last year that he could have a really good season. But remember, though, the Jets offensive staff also comes from those roots, right, of Kyle Shanahan and Mike Shanahan and so forth. And so they're going to be able to implement the same philosophy and the same styles and put Debo Samuel right into that offense. Why would you pick a veteran over a rookie? We've seen that some rookies, and it doesn't really happen so much anymore now, but some rookies struggle to adapt to the NFL, adjust to the NFL. Bill Belichick, for example, really never drafts receivers. When he does, he doesn't succeed. He's always the guy who's going to go out and trade for a proven receiver who he knows can adapt to the NFL and adjust to the cornerbacks and the other defensive looks that opposing teams give them.
Matt, Detroit was always linked with Hutchinson. If Jacksonville takes him, they'll probably, they've got place to go. But Houston seems to me to be a little bit of an outlier. What are you hearing about the Texans? And could they be the team with 3-13 that puts a wrench in what we're thinking about this draft?
They might. And we heard that they would obviously love to trade down, but Nick Caserio told us in a press conference that there are not many teams calling to trade up because of what we talked about. I think you might be a little surprised here because there is some real momentum building about them picking Sauce Gardner, the cornerback from Cincinnati. And, we mocked him in our latest 7-round mock draft at ProFootballNetwork.com, which was released yesterday. Our insider, Aaron Wilson, who is extremely connected to the Texans, has been banging this drum for quite a few weeks now about Sauce Gardner going to the Texans at 3. I don't think that, they're going to pick a QB like a Malik Willis. You get a guy in the trenches like a Kayvon Thibodeau if he's there, but they like Sauce Gardner a lot. They really like him. They think he's a tone setter, who can discourage QBs from testing his side of the field and kind of be that lockdown cornerback that reminds us of guys like Darrelle Revis back in his prime, like an Xavier Howard when he's on. So that could be a pick there. I think if you're looking for a team that might throw a wrench, there's been some whispers about Detroit taking Malik Willis at 2 overall.
Oh, it's funny. I was going to just come at you with, to me, it's Carolina. Because let's face it, they don't have a second, they don't have a third. They need a quarterback, but, are these guys worth taking 6? And, what is it right now? Your guys' intel, Pro Football Network, by the way, Matt Cannata, kind enough to join us. What is your intel on Carolina? Yeah,
so we reported that, they're a team that their coaching staff, I should say, that likes the trenches, right? And so when you look at, who might be there, you're looking at a Charles Cross, you're looking at an Ikem Ekwonu, but he might go to the Jets at 4. And, we're hearing that we wouldn't be surprised if Charles Cross is the pick at 6 for the Panthers. And, everyone that Tony Pauling, our draft insider and analyst, spoke with around the league, they do not expect Cross to get past the Panthers at 6. And he is the top offensive tackle on a lot of people's boards around the league. And there are even many people who rate him ahead of Evan Neal and Ikem Ekwonu. But I believe Ikem will be, taken before that. It's funny, though, because the Panthers need a QB in the worst kind of way. But is that owner-driven or is that head coach-driven? That is the bigger question here.
Well, and it'd be interesting to see. You mentioned Baker Mayfield. I've been linked with them as well, so we'll see how that all shakes out.
Yeah.
Where is Hamilton going to go in your estimation? Could he be a slip and slider and fall a little bit? I know he's ranked really high, but teams don't want to take safeties that high. So where do you see Kyle Hamilton going?
And he's a great, great ball player. He's actually top 5 on our consensus board at ProFootballNetwork.com. And, I think it comes down to value, right? When you're looking at value of the safety position, like you just kind of mentioned, we're hearing that he's going to end up somewhere between picks 15 to 20. We think, our draft analysts think that he's a top 5 player in this draft class. But the fact that safeties, right, are going to probably drop just because of the value of that, probably 15 to 20.
Matt Cannata.
And then some teams have him as their top player on their board as well. I might add that.
I'm going to throw out Washington at 11. I think he's a Ron Rivera type guy. Matt Cannata, Pro Football Network, ProFootballNetwork.com. You can follow Matt on Twitter at Cannata, 2 N's, 1 T, Cannata PFN. You can also follow Pro Football Network on Twitter at PFN365. Matt Cannata, Pro Football Network, great set of reporters and great up-to-date information all the time. Matt, we appreciate you making time for us for what will be a busy week. Go say goodbye to your family.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy the week.
Matt Cannata, kind enough to join us and follows us on Twitch while he's doing the interview because he reads your comments during the interview. It's another reason I like Twitch.
Look at that. Cannata PFN on Twitch, too. We're Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
not genuine and just try to do the hot take game. But
I watch so little of it now.
I usually see it on Twitter, and then I could watch it.
Roger Craig, underrated?
A lot of people think he should be in the Hall of Fame.
Right. What shocks David more? Lions taking a QB at 2 or the Giants selecting Daniel Jones?
Daniel Jones. Ask Mark. He was staring right at me. We're at an event. I can't react the way I wanted to. Oh, man. It was awful. Hated that whole first round. Although, actually, when they traded back in late in the first round and took DeAndre Baker, from a talent standpoint, I thought that was a good pick. Of course, the character concerns were off the charts.
You know, one of my favorite things about sports is whenever I'm wrong and whenever I'm blatantly proven wrong. And I've talked a lot of negative things about NBA basketball in the city of New Orleans and how they should just get the hell out of there and go to Seattle. But last night, they proved me wrong. Sold out crowd, young core, mixed with CJ McCollum. Brandon Ingram looked like.
I'll say this, though. I do think this is the last shot for that franchise.
Yeah.
Like, they got to keep this group together.
Right.
And preferably they either got to keep Zion or trade him and get one or two guys that will stay. And then this core can play together for a few years.
I think if they can find a way to beat Phoenix, they're set. They don't even need to go far after that. They can get swept in the next round. If you beat Phoenix in the first round, they're set.
I mean, they were a game away from the conference finals with Chris Paul and David West, I think it was, like 10 years ago. They were a game away. They were up 3-2 in the semis and ended up losing Game 7 at home, I think, to the Spurs.
Yeah. They had Chris Paul.
Right. Well, I'm just saying that,
how funny is that? Chris Paul's getting worked by New Orleans.
I don't know about that. He basically won Game 3.
Right.
Which is pretty good for 74 years old.
But last night was fun. Really good game. Brandon Ingram, man, he's good.
This is, though, to me, what Reggie Miller's talking about. You don't know what can happen. Like, all of a sudden, Milwaukee, now granted, they're playing a team that they're just so much better than, but Chris Humphries is hurt. All of a sudden, Phoenix loses Devin Booker. I mean, Utah should be taking advantage. Luka misses the first 4 games. I mean, this is the type of shit that happens in which all of a sudden an entire bracket opens up for you. It's like, oh my God, this could be our year.
You said Chris Humphries. You meant Chris Middleton.
No, I say Humphries? My bad.
How good is Reggie Miller in the booth, by the way?
I like him.
I think he's great.
So only the one guy from Carolina is not coming back. Manic.
Oh, Paul, listen.
The big white kid who shoots threes. Everybody else coming back.
Yeah, because he's graduate. He was
Yeah. But I think he could have done a COVID.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
$21 past the hour. Thanks for waking up with us, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. We don't make eggs, though. We don't do the dishes. But we could if, we would if we could, Mark.
Make eggs?
And do the dishes.
My dishwasher broke on Thursday.
What? Oh, my goodness.
And, called a company to come fix it. We can get there next Thursday.
Right.
Not to mention, I've got all kinds of, the whole family and
Sure.
for the weekend events planned at the house, meals and what have you. More dish doing done in the house than I've ever seen before.
I was going to say, I would have picked them up and done them and delivered them for you if need be.
We, a lot of paper plates.
Really?
Came into effect over the weekend. Yeah, like a lot of kids there. Paper plates for the kids.
You tried to play it as if you were just,
Oh no, came right out with it. Dishwasher's broken. Take a paper plate. Take a plastic cup. Throw it away when you're done.
Good for you.
No need to do extra dishes.
That was always a sign, another sign back in the day of company. The one comedian who does the routine about, when the Entmans and the Senka would appear on the table, it was a sign in my house as well I always knew company was coming over when the chips were in the cupboard because there were never any snacks in the house. And all of a sudden there'd be a bag of potato chips and a bag of like Doritos. And I'm like, oh, wow, Mom must have company coming soon.
Boy, did we have chips. Our chips had chip, David.
I don't know about you. Were you allowed to touch them before the event at the house? I was not.
I don't know how many times we had company at our house as a kid. It was very rare.
It was a handful.
But as an adult, I know I'm not allowed to touch them.
I couldn't touch the crumb cake. I couldn't open the bag of chips. I could finish the crumb cake.
And finish the bag of chips.
Right. I just couldn't start them.
See, my parents are big fans of the charcuterie board. So every time that gets busted out.
Wow. Listen to that little hum over there.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
That was damn near a purr over there. That was so good. Wow. Hot damn.
Who's coming over? Got the cheese laid out, the nuts.
Well,
high class over there.
I know. That's why I don't know what the hell that you two are talking about.
Yvette's classy. What can I say?
Meanwhile, I'm opening up my Kraft singles over here going, wow, cheese? You guys got cheese?
How about a saltine? Anyone?
Miller and Moulton on this final Monday of April. The draft is Thursday night. We'll be doing a live Twitch broadcast throughout the whole thing. I thought Matt Cannata, he touched upon a couple of things that we dive into with the draft. How if all of a sudden, never mind if Malik Willis goes to Detroit at 2, which
oh my goodness.
But in which all of a sudden this draft gets real sexy real fast.
Really fast, David.
But if Gardner goes to Houston at 3 even, that changes things far more than you realize. Either the Jets or Giants are convinced they're going to be able to get Gardner. Absolutely convinced. Jets at 4 and 10. They know they're not going to get him at 10. Giants at 5 and 7. Giants are convinced they can get Gardner unless the Jets take him. Now, all of a sudden, if he goes at 3, the Jets don't necessarily want to go offensive lineman. They may not like the third defensive lineman, whether it's Thibodeau or Walker. And they just went Becton a couple years ago, who, by the way, they should be really concerned about him. He didn't show up for the voluntary stuff. He wasn't healthy all of last year. The Giants and Jets both have problems with a couple of recent first-round picks. Tony didn't show up for anything. Becton hasn't shown up for anything and was hurt all of last year, basically. But that now all of a sudden the Jets and the Giants at 4 and 5, if Gardner's off the board, I'll bet you that dramatically changes things for both of them.
And then, because at that point, then if you think you have to go corner, are you reaching to go with Stingley or McDuffie, the kid from Washington? These are both projected first-round guys, but they're not projected top 5 guys.
If you're the Jets, do you draft a tackle as Becton insurance, but also you need a right tackle to begin with, even if Becton is fine? And then what if Thibodeau's the guy who's dropping? Jets at 4, Giants at 5.
I don't think the Giants could pass on Thibodeau if he's there.
I don't think with their new defensive coordinator and the style of defense that they're going to switch to, I don't think they would either. I think that's the floor for Kayvon Thibodeau of Oregon, is the Giants at 5.
I'm with you. They need an edge rusher. Everybody needs an edge rusher, for crying out loud.
I mean, the ideal draft for the Giants is to get either Thibodeau or Gardner and then also get a tackle. That would be their ideal 5-7 scenario.
And by all accounts, you should think that the kid from NC State, Neal or Cross from Mississippi State, is going to be there at 7.
Oh, yeah.
One of them will be there. One of those top 3 tackles will be there at 7. Particularly if the Lions take Malik.
Oh, well, that was woof. Woof. Now, I'm intrigued by what can 32 and 34 get you. Like if you're the Chargers at 17, let's just say these quarterbacks are falling. And maybe New Orleans doesn't go quarterback at 16.
Well, by the way, because he said Kyle Hamilton dropping between 15 and 20. If I'm telling you right now that the Saints are taking Hamilton at 16 if he's there.
Well, they need a tackle. They need a wide receiver. They need a safety. Which one of them would they take at 16? But if you're the Lions, you got 32 and 34. Can that get you to 17? If you're the Chargers, would you make that deal?
Yes. All day long.
Now, you're passing up potentially a plug-and-play interior lineman, center or guard, if you're the Chargers at 17. The 3 guys on the board may not be there at 32. But that's, if the Lions are, in fact, really sniffing around on one of the quarterbacks and wouldn't mind getting one. I mean, if you're even thinking at all about taking one at 2, then you've got to be intrigued about trading back into the middle of the first round and grabbing them ahead of the Saints and or Steelers. I'm just curious, what does 32 and 34 get you? How high do you think you can get? Baltimore's at 14. Can you get that high?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But
I don't think so. Now, I don't think Philadelphia wants more picks. They've got 15 and 18. I don't think they would want to trade one of those for 2 more picks.
Right.
You start running into that situation where you got guys all turning at the same time.
Yeah, at one point you had 16, 18, 19. You make 2 deals and you end up with only 18 and 32 and 34.
Right. New England at 21. They'd do that.
I think they would, but the problem is the Saints have picked twice in front of you, and the Eagles have picked twice in front of you, and the Steelers have picked in front of you. I don't think 21 does you any good. I think the Chargers at 17 might do you some good.
While I don't think you can get to Baltimore, Houston needs so much. Would Houston at 13?
You'd have to throw in more than 32 and 34, I think. The question would be how much more?
32, 34, 97?
Or 32, 34 and something good next year in what a lot of people think's a better draft. I mean, because think about it. Most people think the Lions are going to be picking in the top 10 again next year. So if you go 32, 34 this year and you get them to give you their second rounder next year, well, you're thinking that's going to be a top 40 pick. That's basically a 1 and 2 high 2s.
For Detroit's sake, I don't, I guess if you want the quarterback, you go get him. Otherwise, I don't see why you trade 32 and 34 at all.
Well, got to ask yourself, if the Lions, is this the guy I'm willing to put my job on? Because if you make a deal like that, you are.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Sorry, charcuterie. I didn't know I had to be perfect on that one. Did I say charcuterie? Charcuterie. Next F1 race is in Miami. Yeah, next stop Miami. And again, I've talked about this before, but next up we head to the sunny beaches and palm trees of South Beach. Oh my
What's
God.
going on over
Who are you
there?
talking to?
What's going on? I'm sitting here going through my Twitter. I'm hearing, like, are you
responding.
doing a voice test over there?
No, I'm responding to someone's Twitch chat response and just saying a point that I've been saying, because I said they asked where the next F1 race is. I said Miami. And again, they say, oh, next stop, we head to the sunny beaches and palm trees of Miami, Florida. Head down to F1. Where is it? The parking lot of Hard Rock Stadium?
Felipe. Breathe.
Just makes me so mad.
Felipe. Just, whoa, man. I don't need mad. We're trying to do energy, excitement, happy, entertaining.
Peppy bursting with love. God, Cassio's such a dick, but I love him.
What now?
John Rothstein tweets out 28 weeks from tomorrow, we will have college basketball. Cassio tweets out, March is that close? Sometimes he's funny.
Yeah, I just couldn't deal with his.
No, I'm totally with you.
I quit following him because everything was
yep.
a certain message board, and I can't do that anymore.
Yep.
I removed that from my Twitter feed, all of it.
Yeah, Gator Dad, that is if you don't get stuck in traffic, which you likely will.
Did you hear, though, the driver said, like, did a press conference last week, and the driver said that they're, like, spending a lot of time on the simulator to try to get ready for the race?
Well, because I've done my brief research, but the first reaction was negative just because of the fact that there's no elevation on the track. So that's something that they need to get used to.
Well, the problem is there's no elevation in Florida.
Right,
but-
obviously. It's just a flat.
So that's a problem.
It's a flat track, and there's nothing very scenic
If
about
you
the
can
course.
figure out a way to get them in the stadium on the concourse, that would be
Oh,
magnificent.
of course, but we're not that great.
But I'm just saying I found it interesting because they all realize that the track's still a work in progress and they're not going to have a whole lot of time on the track. So they're all practicing for the race on a simulator.
I'm still excited for it. It's gonna be really cool.
Hey man, we're gonna have 3 F1 races in this country next year.
That's big.
I mean, it's a generation or two later than what we were told growing up, Mark. I kind of feel like the metric system is, I mean, F1 and European soccer are finally making it when we were told in the late 70s that this was coming.
And if
St. Pete hosted Indy race, Sean, not an F1 race.
And if Americans know how to do one thing, it's put on a show. So Americanized F1.
Well, I do think the Vegas thing will be amazing.
Yes. Because they're going down the strip, right? That's going to be incredible. See, why couldn't you do that? I'm not going to get into it.
Think about how much they're going to get for those hotel rooms. that
Oh,
are
my
facing
God.
the Strip.
Max
What do you wanna do here?
Verstappen.
We got 2 segments.
I
in.
pull a question. I got a couple.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks for being with us. Poll question at that Mark Miller, at the David Moulton, at FL Sports Network, and also on floridasportsnetwork.com. floridasportsnetwork.com. So what'd you watch this weekend? USFL? NBA? Major League Baseball?
Gator Nation on Twitter found a loophole in my question because I just said baseball. He said the NBA would have won, but I watched a lot of college baseball over the weekend.
The Florida-Tennessee series?
Probably, given the fact that his Twitter handle's Gator Nation. JP says NBA was on my team most of the weekend. After 1 week, I already forgot the USFL existed.
Yep, that's a problem. Even though the games are on both NBC and Fox. I mean, it's not like they're not getting, and when they go to cable, I mean, Saturday, I think, was Fox at noon and FS1 at night. I mean, for a startup spring football league, tough to do better than that.
Hey, USFL's beating the PGA Tour in our poll question. And we are one of the largest golf markets in the country. In 2 of the markets that we're in, between St. Pete and the Fort Myers Naples market, these are either 1 and 2, 1 and 3 every year in golf ratings, in television golf ratings.
Top 3 markets are all in Florida. It's either West Palm, Tampa, St. Pete, or Fort Myers, Naples. Those are the top 3 golf markets every year in the country.
Although I hate the Zurich Classic. I watched a little bit of it. I mean, it's fun to watch them all make birdies, but team sports on the PGA Tour don't do it for me.
Well, I'm not a huge fan either. Apparently, it was either do this or the event was going away from a sponsorship standpoint. And they came up with this because the players weren't playing. They weren't coming to New Orleans, and so they threw this out there, and enough of them said, oh, I would do that. That'll be fun. Sure, what the heck? That'll be different. Not like I want to go home. So sure, another week on the road. Not the worst place in the world to be, to have some fun, do a little fishing, a little gambling, some good food. Yeah, I'll ham and egg it around with so-and-so. He's not so terrible. I can spend 4 or 5 rounds with him.
But doesn't do much for me on television.
No.
I did think the Haas father-son thing was pretty cool. Jay Haas played with his son. Jay Haas in his 60s. His first tour event was in 73 or 74. And here he is making the cut in this thing. Remarkable.
In fact, I believe when he plays on the Champions Tour this week, it will be his 700th, I think, career start. Cal Cavecchia, I think, got to 1,000. I mean, they showed up on the first tee with a cake at the Champions Tour event for him. I mean, he reached some milestone this weekend as well. Yeah, Jay Haas has been playing so long. His first PGA Tour event, Sam Snead was in the field. Now, granted, Sam was in his 50s, but still, it gives you an idea how long Jay's been at it, nearly 50 years.
Crazy.
And they, first round, two of the top 10 players in the world or the top 15 players in the world, they actually beat them head-to-head. The one thing I think they did wrong, like in our backyard in Southwest Florida, they've got the QBE shootout, shark shootout, and the final round is a total birdie fest. Like the toughest of the three ways you could play the team golf, they put first, and they make it easier as you go. At Zurich, the hardest one is last. I mean, I thinking to yourself, why put the hardest one last? I mean, those guys basically were shooting around par yesterday. That's not what you want to
not at all
put on television. Never mind that people show up on a Sunday and what have you. You want to give them birdies.
Outside of the U.S. Open, people want to see lots of birdies.
Right. Quick question. I know you didn't watch. USFL plays 4 games every week. They're all in Birmingham. 3 of the 4, there's no one there. And I mean no one. Like I don't care. And maybe it's because 2 years ago we were watching pandemic sports and there were no one in the stands at NFL games, for goodness sakes.
Right.
We didn't mind. A little.
We minded.
Well, they
couldn't do anything about it.
Right. They pumped in crowd noise, which,
it was terrible.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. I mean, I can openly tell you, and I'm not doing it just to play counterpoint to you. It was noticeable to me watching, whether it was hockey, whether it was basketball, whether it was football.
So it bothered you?
Yes, it did.
Okay. All right.
It took away from my fan experience with my behind on the couch at home.
Now, I'm guessing, though, since those leagues are of a certain stature, it didn't keep you from watching. It just affected your enjoyment level.
Correct.
What people who watched week 1 and the game that was simulcast on 2 networks had a big crowd, 25 plus thousand. The lower bowl in that Birmingham stadium was filled. So, and it looked like a good time. The game had some scoring and what have you. Well, if Birmingham's not playing on a Saturday night, there are 100 people there. I mean, people in Birmingham, even though the tickets are $10 and kids get in for free, they're not coming out to see the Philadelphia Stars and the Pittsburgh Maulers.
Nope.
I mean, that was an 11 a.m. kick on a beautiful Saturday in Birmingham, and I'm not kidding. There were 138 people there. Now, I didn't care. Makes no difference to me whether people are there or not. I mean, you and I, we broadcast a ASUN championship game. Winner goes to the NCAA tournament. There were 634 people there.
Correct.
We didn't care.
Nope.
It was a big deal for us.
And I've broadcasted games with being a fledgling minor league broadcaster, I have done plenty of games with 138 people at them, David.
Well,
and when I'm broadcasting, because I'm doing my job.
Sure.
Put the headsets on. Let's get to work.
Right.
I remember doing games when Miami had an East Coast Hockey League team. My goal call was so loud that the players' benches are turning around and looking, going, who the hell's yelling?
Well, and from what you told me, you were in the old Miami Arena downtown, and there were about 138
people there. So, I mean, I've been there, done that.
But it's there were a lot of comments from people who were giving the USFL a look in week 2 in the first game, although technically I think there was a Friday night game on CBS Sports Network or USA or whatever. But they're watching Saturday afternoon, and they see nobody there. And A, it was bothering them. But B, what I think's a moderately interesting subject is that this is a league that is being played for television. It's not being played for attendance.
No, this is roller derby. This is professional wrestling, whatever you mean. This is the studio show for wrestling that they throw on once a week before they had everyone in front of the crowd.
I mean, this is Saturday afternoon bowling, quite frankly. But this is programming for Fox. This is to Fox. This is their equivalent of Capital One Bowl Week on ESPN, where there's no one at the New Mexico Bowl, and ESPN doesn't care because 1.5 million, 2 million people are watching it, and they're making money, and they bundle it all together, and everyone's happy. And so, but people are wondering, because obviously spring football doesn't make it. I mean, it got a track record, 40 years, doesn't make it. And so people are wondering, hey, is it such a bad look for the league that no one is at these games except for one? Like 25,000 showed up for Birmingham's first game, and I guess like 13,000 or what have you showed up this past Saturday night for their game, or a little bit more than that. And on TV, it looked fine. And there was energy and excitement, scoring in the game, the whole deal. To me, it doesn't matter if no one's at the game. I can watch a sporting event. You know me, I like women's college basketball. Oftentimes, there's 638 people in the stands. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me at all. But apparently, it matters to people.
It does. It matters to me when I'm watching a game. It feels bigger with a crowd. Now, I've not given the USFL even a minute's time.
No.
And it's on purpose. But there's no doubt, David, because of the television ratings from week one, where, in Michigan, it did well when the Michigan Panthers played. I'd be curious to see what their TV numbers look like in the regions that they play, even though the games are in Birmingham. And the fact of the matter that nearly 20% of our audience watch more USFL football than anything else over the weekend tells me that people are watching. Why, I have no idea.
And the Bandits got whooped last night, Mark, 34-3 by the New Orleans Breakers.
Wow, and they were favorites in that game, too.
They were. Not a good look for Todd Haley and the boys. Got a few people in our Twitch chat room going, speaking of attendance, how about the A's? Hey, hold on now. Come on, they averaged 9,000 a game in a 3-game series against Texas. Take it easy now. This isn't that midweek series that averaged about 3,000 a game.
So, and I think, the USFL also has just a touch of the nostalgia factor that the XFL won't have.
Right.
We know these team names. People that are our age, David, remember the USFL vividly. And it was a well-liked league.
You know what? Little case study. I met up with a friend and watched the Philadelphia-Pittsburgh USFL game Saturday afternoon. Yes, that's right. I admit that. I did. Consumed food and drink at a sports bar, parked ourselves in front of 2 big TVs, and specifically said, can you put the game right here? A couple, few years older than me, sat next to me. They are Pittsburgh fans. They were watching the Penguins play at that time. And the Penguins were whooping up on the Wings.
Just destroying the Red Wings.
Next to me was the wife. She looks over to what we're watching, and she sees PIT. And so she's like, hey, is that a Pittsburgh team? I'm like, yeah, it's the Maulers. And she looks at me like, dude, I've been a Pittsburgh sports fan my whole life. What are you talking about? It's the Maulers. And I'm like, hey, USFL 40 years ago, what have you. She's like, oh, because they're Pittsburgh.
Right.
And all of a sudden, I brought the game to them, and I had to explain to her they're playing in Birmingham for this year, maybe even next year. So, when you go back to Pittsburgh, I don't even know when you're going to get it to go to one of their games. $10, by the way. And so sure enough, most of the rest of the day, she's elbowing her husband watching the Stars Maulers game because the Penguins were up like 6-3, and Sid and the boys had that thing under control. All of a sudden, she's watching the USFL and she's commenting on it. She was intrigued when they went for 3. What are they doing here? They're going for 3. Once again, she gave me that look like, I've been following this for a really long time. What are you talking about? They're going for 3. Kicking a field goal? No, they're going for 3.
I will say, I'm on USFL.com. I can get merch. If I wanted that Michigan Panthers t-shirt, I could get it.
Now, will they be playing at Heinz Field if they come back? Or?
Well, that's, I think, to be worked out. That's part of the equation. Like, the NFL was so not threatened by the USFL originally that, the Giants rented out their stadium to the New Jersey Generals. They're like, yeah, sure, fine, whatever. And then all of a sudden the USFL and 40,000 people and ratings. And then there started to be, we signed these contracts, and trust me, when they're up, you got to go find someplace else to play. Because, wow, we're actually making you look pretty good here. You're playing in our stadium. But, ask a Philly sports fan. The Stars played at the Vet.
Yeah, the Michigan Panthers played at the Silverdome. It was...
Yeah.
And they had players. They had good players. It's the one thing that this league doesn't have, and that's okay.
Who's the best player in the USFL?
Reggie White.
No, I think he means today's.
Oh, now?
Yeah, today's.
There isn't one.
Oof, boy.
There isn't one. And there were superstars.
Because in the short-lived XFL comeback, I feel like the one that got the most limelight was Cardell Jones.
I thought it was He Hate Me there. Rod, his last name escapes me. But yeah, there were a couple guys who then went on to the league also. Like right now, I think the league will be very curious whether or not the NFL will pick any of these guys up, even invite them to camp. Will the NFL, because the NFL's watching.
Of course they are.
All right. If there's a player, great, you're bringing him to us. That's fantastic. But it will be interesting to see if any of these guys. One thing I will say is, unlike even like the AAF, 2 or 3 of the quarterbacks were brought to training camps. From what I'm seeing right now, none of these quarterbacks are going to a training camp.
But as we've pointed out, and Sean points out in our Twitch chat room, the games in one stadium is a smart move. It saves cost, and as he says, it allows them to build an audience. And I think that's the case. It will just be interesting to see how much momentum they can take from season 1 to season 2.
And when they decide they actually want to play games in New Jersey and Pittsburgh and Philly and what have you, where are they going to play?
Where are you going to
go? Cincinnati.
Well played, Felipe. Well played. Miller and Moulton. The bonus hour is next. Thanks for listening. David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Holy hell, he did it. Elon just got Twitter.
Did they give it to him?
New York Post reports Twitter set to accept Elon Musk's 43 billion.
Yeah, they're meeting today. I saw that.
Oh my. Well, this is phase 1 of the takeover. Control the narratives.
Yeah, I forgot to bring it up. We could save it for tomorrow. Had 40, got Jack Swarbrick, Notre Dame AD.
Yep.
He, you know what you and I have talked about for however many years? Jack Swarbrick's like, yeah, by the 2030s, yeah, there's going to be about 45 teams going to break away. Yes, saw that, Yinzer. Great catch. Baby left hand catch with the right.
David. FGCU basketball game a couple years ago. Georgetown Southern crazy dunk. The call was, ooh. Was that you?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Just making sure.
I'd have to check the date because Georgia Southern, it was probably a November game. And I'm not available for a lot of those.
Football.
Yeah, money.
That too. Oh, New York Post just reported Elon got Twitter, or is set to get Twitter.
Yeah, that's
Curious what that'll mean. What do you think that'll mean?
I don't know.
Total world control, domination.
There aren't that many people on Twitter.
Yeah.
You act like Twitter's important. That's the part. It's not.
Really isn't. Young people don't use Twitter anymore. I feel like such an old head.
Twitter is for you use it because you're in this industry.
It's honestly, yeah.
If obviously you can get news that way too. But I mean, what is it out? I could give a rip what some celebrity is saying on Twitter. I don't care.
Oh, I don't care about that either.
But I'm following sports people, and I'm trying to follow less and less of them so my feed slows down just a touch.
Right.
So I don't know.
I love NBA Twitter. That's the thing. NBA Twitter's the best. All right, here we go.
listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this final Monday of April. About 80 or so hours away from the NFL draft. We'll have a live, long Twitch broadcast, the Miller and Moulton channel on twitch.tv Thursday night. It'll begin about a half an hour before round one. It'll go to close to midnight, because usually that's how long these things take. We stay on for all 32 picks, and we solicit your comments in the Twitch chat room. Usually get a big audience. We hope so. Mark's counting on about 100 followers out of this.
It's what's needed
for you to win the bet.
It is what is needed to get to the number that I have tried to get to by the 4th of July.
But we hope to have many of you, including us, in your NFL draft coverage on Thursday night, an exclusive Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv broadcast.
Poll question has been, what sport did you watch the most of this weekend? And the USFL is gaining some momentum.
There
David.
you go, baby.
It's currently in third, but it's almost double that of our PGA Tour numbers. It's closing in on baseball. The NBA leading right now with a little over 36% of the vote. Go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, or FL Sports Network on Twitter or FloridaSportsNetwork.com to vote. We were looking during the break, David, because we started talking about the USFL and what's going on with the XFL, because that's the league that the NFL is seemingly in step with.
Yes, they seem to be dipping their toes into the XFL waters, which surprises me because the USFL has Fox and NBC very much associated with it. Fox owns it. And those are two of the bigger broadcast partners for the NFL.
But in looking at the XFL's webpage, they've got coaches hired.
Right.
They have all kinds of people hired.
Right.
They don't have any idea where any of these teams are going to be playing.
No. No cities.
No cities, no schedules, no nothing.
Right. In minor league baseball in the second half of this season, they're going to experiment. One of the things that they're bringing back out, they dipped their toes 3 times maybe in the water with robo umpires. Well, and a lot of people don't watch Sunday Night Baseball anymore, but it gets about 1.5 million viewers a game. And a few people may watch this year because A-Rod's not a part of the broadcast, and that seemingly will make people happy. A new broadcast crew, Ravitch, David Cohn, Eduardo Perez. And Angel Hernandez worked the plate last night, and he was bad. Now, he's a bad umpire.
And he was horrible last night.
Missed 19 calls, according to, technology.
Umpire auditor that does this every night for every game.
Only got 85% of the balls and strikes right last night. Apparently, it was the worst officiated game by a home plate umpire this year so far. Season's only 2+ weeks old. But do you really think it'll work?
Yes.
Because clearly, if Joe Torre couldn't get Angel Hernandez and a few others removed, then umpires are not getting fired.
Nope.
I really thought there was a chance when Joe Torre took over and was given the job of umpiring that I thought he was going to be able to get a couple of guys, if they continuously graded out as the worst umpires, to be able to get them at least relegated, sent to AAA, something.
And that's not happened.
No.
And now, to me, the only way to fix this is to have a robotic ball and strike count and take away the inaccuracies that are happening every night. It doesn't matter what umpire, what game, this happens. Nothing to argue with anymore. And as much fun as I had watching Kyle Schwarber go bananas last night and throw his bat and come out a second time to drop a couple of F-bombs at Angel Hernandez, what do we want more than anything with sports? We want them sped up.
We also want the calls to be right.
Yes, we do.
We do. That is something that America in the last quarter century has really decided this is important to us. And I got to say, with the influx of gambling now that is coming in every day, if I was in part of a league, I think you and I would agree, well, we got to make sure that the games are on the up and up and they're as officiated as well as we can do it. Because now there's a lot more riding on it than there used to be. Want to talk about tearing a league down quickly? This would do it. We got to get this stuff right. But you think the technology, that it can work?
I'm convinced it can work.
Well, because
if it works, the ball's going pretty hard in tennis. And I know the strike zone changes, but they seem to have these boxes. They seem to work. I don't think this is that hard.
But remember, in tennis, there's not a beep. There's not a, hey, that's out, and everybody stops. Like here, there has to be an instantaneous beep, and you got to know, ball or strike, and then we react accordingly. Runners may be in motion, etc. Like in tennis, yes, the technology seems to work, and quickly from day one. All right. When they brought the technology into the sport, the players accepted that what was being shown on the big screen was accurate.
Because what you can't have is a challenge system like tennis where they have 3 strike calls a game that they can try to overturn. That doesn't work. To me, you either have to go all in with this,
right,
or you don't do it.
Should we add challenging balls and strikes?
Well, I don't know how you can. Like in tennis, all right, they're challenging human error. And then the technology up on the screen tells you whether or not the human was right or wrong. Here, we're going to eliminate the human error. In theory, you're going to challenge the machine?
No, I think what he's saying is the only other way to do it would be to continue with the status quo and then add a challenge system so that in the case like that with Schwarber, instead of getting rung up, they can say, we're going to challenge that.
And then you get the clap, 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 clap. Oh, it's a ball. Okay. At bat keeps going.
He missed 19 calls last
No,
night.
that's what I mean. I don't know how you do this. I'm with you. That's why I don't think you can establish a challenge system in baseball. I think it's very simple. You either go all robotics with the umpiring or you go none. I don't think you can middle this one.
Now I will say this, and keep going back to tennis. The one thing that tennis does that I love is you get 3 challenges a set. But if you challenge and you're right, you still keep it. Like, I hate what the NFL does. You only get 2 challenges a game, and only if you're right on both do you get a third. Well, hold on a second. Let me get this straight. I challenge one in the second quarter. I'm right. Well, shouldn't I get my challenge back? I corrected a mistake, and you're penalizing me? Only if I go 2 for 2? Do I get another one? I think they get it wrong.
I'm with you. Okay.
So, I mean, could you say
3 challenges every 3 innings?
Well, that could be 9 a game from both sides. That's 18 challenges a game. All right. What if you just give them, you got, I don't know, pick a number, something between 1 and 5.
I'd probably want to go 4.
But that's it for the game, by the way. Now, if the umpires are having a really bad game, you keep challenging, you're right. Then hey, it's not your fault. It's theirs. They're getting everything wrong.
And the challenge should be damn near instantaneously in baseball. That's the other side of this. It's not that hard.
Well, you and I have always believed there should be an extra umpire that travels. I actually think it's almost like a designated hitter effect. Every umpire, every 5th game could get a day off their feet. Even I think
it's the only way it works, by the way, because it keeps them as part of a team.
Totally. And then you go up into the, and then afterwards they go, really, he was safe? And you go, yeah, he just got him, at the first swipe when you thought he got him, actually he missed him. He didn't get him at the ankle. He got him up closer to the knee. Oh, okay. While they're having drinks or waiting at the airport or what have you. But you really think this can work in baseball?
I always have, always will. I can't believe we haven't started it already. I'll take that back. I can believe it. I can't believe the pressure is not getting higher and higher to put this in baseball. when you see what happened last night, and I know it's just one game and one umpire, but my goodness, 19 blown strike ball calls in one game, 6 of which were guys getting rung up for strikeouts.
Right. In a 1-0 game, so obviously every at-bat kind of a big deal. He missed one call by 6.5 inches.
Right.
I don't know if anybody's got a ruler, but take a look at how, 6.5 inches, how long that is. I mean, that's egregious. That's egregious. Don't know of another sport, major sport, where this could be done, if you know what I mean. Like we got it. We got our technology in tennis. We've used the technology in the other sports. We know if a puck crosses the line, this, that, and the other thing. Basketball, they got their final minute, 2-minute thing, whatever they do, which, by the way, talk about having to speed it up. Oh, my goodness. They make baseball look like fast food.
Well, and particularly when they're going for a flagrant or something like that, it gets even worse.
Goodness. And I think, by the way, the guys on the court should have I think it's another one. They should just have the alternate official sitting there. They decide. There's no need for you. They want to take a look at this. Fine. There you go. Got it right here. Wind it up. Boom. There you go. Yep. Thanks. That's a flagrant. Go back. Now you got to talk the person who made the call into, I think you got it wrong. No. Just let the person courtside decide. So second half of the minor league baseball season at not every minor league and not every minor league park, but at many of them, put it that way, they are going to try the robotic home plate umpire.
Can't wait. Cannot wait.
You keep everything else in place at the other bases,
Absolutely.
fair and foul, the
Yeah.
whole deal. Same system we have now, only we try to make it faster
Mm-hmm.
with the umpire up in the press box with their equipment, kind of like college football. I actually think college football does it best.
They do. And you're still going to need a home plate umpire, obviously. He's got to call safe and out at home. He's still the one that's going to either get
Well, and I think they're counting on the home plate umpire actually making the signals for strike, ball, that, the sound I think might be necessary. The beep might not get heard. But it will be funny. It's like when they first introduced it in tennis. Remember, it was Cyclops for the service line, and McEnroe wanted to argue with the equipment. Darren Heitner, instrumental in bringing NIL to college sports. We'll talk to him next.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Here's the thing, Deadstruck, about they're not going to put Bryce Harper in a bad situation like that. Like, what's he going to say? I mean, Harper doesn't want to honk off the umpires while he's still an active player. At least I don't think so.
Oh, it did. Gator Guard launched.
Did you see what happened? Did you see what happened to Lucius Fox? Nats infielder.
I'm sorry, what?
Lucius Fox, Nationals infielder.
Okay.
2 pitches into the game, he was feeling ill. Yacked all over the field out for the game. Like violent vomiting.
No.
And they pulled him. Happens to the best of us, I guess. Maybe not on a major league stage, but you know.
See the Miami plate. I'm looking at Heitner's Twitter. John Ruiz, life while it's proud announced Nigel Pack. Nigel Pack has committed to UM as basketball player. Biggest life wallet deal to date. 2 years, $800,000.
Okay, does all that stuff seem shady to you?
Oh, it's not shady. It's
real.
It's real. Now the question is whether or not this is what people are going to be okay accepting.
Right. Like this is the new norm.
Like Heitner tweeted out yesterday, Saban and Dabo will be earning less annually than their star quarterbacks. It's going to be uncomfortable for them. But how many NFL head coaches earn more than their quarterbacks?
Mm-hmm.
And he asked, what's inherently unfair about this market correction? And that's ultimately where we're at.
The one question I want to ask, is there any way to put the genie back in the bottle?
Right. Legally.
Yeah. That's my biggest question.
Yes.
I get it. You can help explain it to me, but
right. Which is why, by the way, I think the Swarbrick and what have you, why we're going to end up being right, but it's not going to be for something that we specifically thought of.
Right.
We thought it was going to be money, but we didn't think it was going to be
this money
this way. Because ultimately the Kansas States and the Purdue's and the Vandy's and the Oregon States of the world are not going to be able to keep up.
No. You know who could, though? UCF.
Yes.
You know, it's a different thing, but I was talking to Chris, and guy in Saginaw has come to Chris and his brothers and wanted them to fork over the money for Saginaw Valley State University to rename the business school after their old man. And they just looked at him and went, we don't have any ties. You know, they end up doing something for them, but we went to Michigan. He went to Wharton. You know, go find the most, they told the guy from Saginaw, look at, there's got to be somebody who's been ultra successful. Go find somebody who graduated from here.
Right.
So with the number of alumni coming through UCF, it's not going to take that long.
No.
Before someone's ultra successful that has the $20-30 million check to write.
Well, you know my thought. My thought is if we're there, we just go find the John Ruiz who's sitting in Naples.
Yeah.
Because somebody will do it.
Yeah.
Sure. What the hell? Make me famous?
Darren's on hold. Back in 15. New episode of Winning Time was good. Really good. That Dr. J.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton, thrilled to be joined again by Darren Heitner, a sports and entertainment lawyer, teaches sports law, and very instrumental in the NIL world. You can follow Darren on Twitter at Darren Heitner, Heitner. Darren, it's David and Mark once again. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am fine. We're pressed for time, so we'll get right to it. You tweeted out yesterday that Nick Saban, Dabo, and other coaches will soon be earning less than their star quarterbacks annually. It'll be uncomfortable for them, but when you think about it, how many NFL head coaches are making more than their quarterbacks? What is unfair about this market correction? What reaction do you get when you tweet out something like that?
Very mixed. I mean, a lot of people agree with me and believe that, these individuals who are putting their bodies on the line and essentially are responsible for the success of the universities are vastly underpaid and obviously hadn't received anything other than potentially full cost of attendance for quite some time. So now the floodgates have opened up and the market will dictate what all these individuals are worth. I think, again, a lot of people are uncomfortable, and the people who are uncomfortable outside of the coaches themselves are just concerned. They're fearful that this is going to kill college sports as we know it. But we're 10 months in. We've seen this play out over those 10 months. We've seen over 400,000 college athletes now have opportunities that they didn't have before, some of whom are making seven figures already. And yet college sports has not died in any respect. In fact, I'd argue it's stronger than ever. So some people applaud it. They think these are rights that should have never been taken away from athletes. And they think it's actually normal. It should happen that these athletes are making more than the coaches. Others are very reluctant to change.
No doubt about that, Darren. My question to you is there anything, whether it's the NCAA or through the government, is there any way to, for lack of a better term, put the genie back in the bottle? I mean, once this is opened, it doesn't seem to us that it can go backwards. Is there any way, in your estimation, that this could be curtailed in any way, shape, or form?
Not a chance. When you ask that at the end, curtailed, I suppose there's a possibility that the restrictions themselves that have been instituted by the roughly 25 states that passed NIL laws, either prior or during or after the NCAA enacted its own rules, could actually enforce those laws to the extent that there are violations. We have not seen a single state in 10 months actually enforce the laws that they've passed in any respect. And then secondarily, you do have the NCAA, which on June 30, 2021, instituted its interim NIL policy. And there are issues presented within that there must be quid pro quo. Athletes must do something in exchange for the money they receive. There cannot be any sort of inducement that the athletes can't receive money contingent on enrolling at a university, and there can't be pay for play. Also, in 10 months, we haven't seen the NCAA do anything on that front. Can the NCAA become more restrictive and, as you asked, put the genie back in the bottle and say, you know what, this experiment failed in our estimation. We don't want these athletes to have NIL rights at all anymore. The answer is no. And the biggest reason for that, not only because many states have passed their own laws, which would supersede the NCAA, but the NCAA lost a 9-0 decision at the Supreme Court level last year. And while it didn't specifically have to do with NIL, it did have to do with restrictions and whether or not those are permissible. And I'll tell you, the NCAA, if it put the genie back in the bottle, it would be sued left, right, and center and lose each one of those cases.
Our remaining 5 minutes with Darren Heitner. And very quick question. I'm thinking the only way they could do it is to essentially have a salary cap. But to do that, you'd have to make the student athletes employees, right? If they did, could then a cap be instituted?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. A salary cap implies that there's a salary. And these athletes are not salaried employees currently. So if you think about, let's say, an NFL player right now, he is earning a salary. There is a salary cap, but then outside of the money that individual is earning as an employee of the team, he can go out in the marketplace and do as many NIL deals and at any value that the marketplace says he's worth. So the answer to your question is, if we go down that path and actually turn these athletes into salaried employees, and we could talk about that for hours and the implications of that, sure, there could be salary caps on that, but it wouldn't have any effect on what we're seeing now play out in the NIL marketplace.
All right. You were instrumental in starting the Gator Collective, which basically, as I tried to describe it, allowed fans like David and I to be a part of it, be a little bit bigger part of it. Now we've jumped that. The Gator Guard has been formed. Just where right now do the Florida Gators sit in the NIL world? Because from the looks of things, they sit in a pretty darn good spot, Darren.
They do. And, the Gator Collective was the first of its kind to be announced after July 1, 2021, when these NIL rights were established for college athletes. So I think that there was certainly an early advantage for University of Florida athletes. But then we quickly saw other collectives sprout up across the country to the point where now, if there's not a collective with a mission to support a specific university, that university's fallen behind. And many other of these collectives perhaps have been able to raise more money than the Gator Collective for whatever reason. So in comes the Gator Guard, another first of its kind, where now we're not talking about you, me, and everyone else, the normal fan who will subscribe for insider access on a monthly or annual basis. Now we're talking, let's say, 15 to 20 real high net worth individuals who will put their money where their mouths are and perhaps donate upwards of $1 million per year to a pool that will then be provided to those athletes. So if you're asking today where the University of Florida stands, I would say it's at the very top, especially after that announcement, which has reached eyeballs across the country.
Darren, can one person do this by themselves? Like, is John Ruiz essentially his own NIL for the Canes?
He basically is. And he's doing a tremendous job. You look at a Kansas State player who just decided, he put his name in the transfer portal and just announced that he'll be transferring to the University of Miami, basketball player. And then you had a tweet from John Ruiz talking about $800,000 in a car being offered to him. And as you mentioned, it's basically an individual, although he does have a company behind it. And I think he then tweeted out that over 5 million impressions just for that tweet alone. So, we're talking about eyeballs connected to the Gator Guard. He's basically doing the same thing. I wouldn't say individually, but essentially down in Miami. And I'd say these, Miami, Florida, they're taking the charge here.
Where are the Seminoles on this? Because obviously the big three in Florida is a part of this. We got about a minute left. How far behind is FSU to where Miami and Florida are?
The social media interactions, and they're trying, but it seems like there's quite a bit of jealousy and questions as to who's going to lead the charge over there and what it's going to look like. My personal position, and this has nothing to do with any sort of animosity towards FSU or its fans, but I think that right now the Seminoles are well behind Miami and Florida.
Darren, thanks for making time for us. Hopefully we can do this again.
Take care.
Darren Heitner, sports and IP lawyer, Heitner Legal in Fort Lauderdale, teaches sports law, author of How to Play the Game. He was behind the Cavender twins from Fresno State who have now transferred to Miami. I don't think he had anything to do with that, but he was the one that helped set them up for the millions in endorsements that they signed on in the first few days of July.
And the Noles are running third.
They are.
And a distant third from the way Darren Heitner described it. Miller and Moulton, thank you so much for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program The Training Grove, with a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
But the big question is, like, it doesn't seem, at least in our Twitch chat room, that anyone who's listening right now has a problem with how the game is now being played, in which it's all above board, and basically you bring the rich people out into the open, and there's no sense putting cash in a brown paper bag anymore. We can just do all this legally. And at least from what I'm seeing, everybody's okay with that. And Logic Man, I agree with you. You know, my feeling is this has been happening for generations. And so now let's just bring it all above board. I mean, there's a joke amongst the schools that this is great. Now we don't have to arrange for it. We can let the rich people, you know. Now, the problem is, though, that, I mean, if you think some of the boosters were hiring and firing coaches and ADs before, I mean, that's when it was only rumored as to what they were doing. I mean, you know, when that foursome calls up the AD and goes, "Hey, you blankety blank, we paid Bryce Young $6 million for 3 years." I mean, yeah, you're darn right they'll be hiring and firing coaches and ADs. You know, Klecko, I guess, you know, when I saw that Norman's going to play the Open, I thought, well, hell, he's won it twice. Of course, he's, you know, eligible. But I guess he's too old. Because didn't they put the 65 age limit? And I think Greg's like 67.
He is 67.
So he's got to qualify. Now, by the way, what's wrong with him qualifying? He's a two-time champion, and he would like to participate in the 150th celebration of the Open Championship at St. Andrews. I mean, I got to be honest.
He wanted a special exemption.
Oh, he wanted an exemption.
Yeah.
I did watch the 30 for 30. I thought it was tremendous. I thought the fact that he agreed to participate in it was remarkable. The only thing that disappointed me was they ended it with the 96 Masters, and they left out the fact that he was tied for the lead with 5 to play 3 years later. That he eagled 13 to take a one-shot lead, and his playing partner, Olazabal, drained the 25-footer for birdie right on top of it. And they had that neat little moment walking off the 13th together, the 14th tee. And he blew that one too because he proceeds to make bogey on 14. So I thought they were going to bring up 99 also. I don't think Klecko, he will get the exemption.
Gosh, that's a really good story too. Save that one for tomorrow.
Klecko, part of the reason why I don't think he'll get the exemption, he didn't win at St. Andrews. And if you give the exemption for Norman, do you know how many exemptions you got to give out? What if Watson decides he wants to play? Because I actually think there's a chance that Watson could make the cut.
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
Home stretch on this final Monday of April. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Before we get to good, bad, and ugly, what's on tap today, was the day when, all that stuff. When you're kicking it with a few of your friends, whether in town or out of town, about NIL and all the money that's now out in the open in college sports, have you had any of your friends, and you monitor our text line, I monitor Twitch chat room, have you had anybody say, this is a big turnoff for me, I don't know if I'm enjoying this, I could see myself becoming less and less a college fan?
Not yet. Not yet. I've not seen very much of it. I think there's some people that are worried, but I don't think it's stopping anybody from watching.
I don't think it helps that the actual deals are being made public. Now,
Agreed.
If you're the one facilitating the deal, if you're the agent, if you will, if you're the people behind the Gator Collective, you want to be able to show, look at the deals we can get for you. That's why you want to come to Florida. You want them public because you're appealing to the recruits. I don't think, though, that necessarily appeals to the fans, because I think it feels a little unseemly. It's almost like, Mark, listen, I don't mind that you're making $400,000 a year. I just don't want you to flaunt it. I don't want it in my face. I'm happy for you. Just keep it to yourself.
No, I think there's a lot of that. And when Miami gets a transfer and the first thing you see is that he got $800,000 in a car.
Right. 2 years, $800K in a car. It's like, for goodness sakes, he was playing at K-State.
It's a tough one. I mean, I have to be honest. When I was looking at Darren's Twitter feed before we had him on, that just looked wrong to me. I have no problem with what anybody makes. Never have, never will. But it does seem unseemly that we've gone from cost of attendance to $800,000 in a car, and Heitner saying flat out that players are going to be making more than their coaches in the not too distant future.
Now think about that. Nick and Dabo are making around 10. You going to be okay when the starting quarterback is making the same amount of money as the head coach? Now, his point of, hey, Aaron Rodgers is making 10 times what Matt LaFleur is making a year. And none of you are complaining.
Nope. Not to mention in hoop. I mean, think about it. James Harden's going to sign a Supermax deal for, 58 or something crazy?
It's going to start at around 50 and it's going to end at like 68.
I mean, think about that.
Yeah. And considering the fact that he takes 20 games off a year because he has to recover from going to the strip clubs, he's going to be making $1 million a game.
So that's a hell of a lot more than any coach in that league's making.
But they're professionals, Mark.
Yeah, so are the college kids.
I understand that, but the word associated with the sport is college football. I mean, listen, I'll be brutally honest. If we're going this far, I think we should almost make the classes optional. You're actually here to get an education? Great. We got no problems with it. All right. Oh, you over here, you just want to play football? Good. That's fine. No. I mean, come on. I know. How
David,
far are we away from that?
David, I know. And the other part of it is going to be really odd when the guy making $400,000 a year is pulling up for a Math 108 class, if you know what I mean.
Well, it also begs the question of, well, wait a minute. We set it up so that he's making $4 million a year. Why do we have to also waste the scholarship on him? I only got 85 of these suckers. You can't pay your own way?
I'll tell you what, though, in college basketball, the next time Maryland, Baltimore County beats a 1 seed, there's going to be some hell to pay for that.
Well, either that or some kids getting paid. 17 minutes before the hour. Time for
Leave it to the oldest guy in the show, and definitely the oldest soul to live in the past. Here's David Moulton with Today Was the Day When.
Mark. We're going back 303 years. 1719. First English novel is published. Robinson Crusoe. Daniel Defoe. 1901, big day. First off, New York becomes the first state to require license plates on automobiles. And you had to pay a $1 fee. I'll bet you $1 in 1901 was an inconvenience.
Not to mention, that's a lot of bucks. That's some serious taxing going on for those cars.
Also in 1901, the Tigers scored 10 in the bottom of the ninth to rally from a 9-run deficit and win 14-13. 1950, Chuck Cooper, first African-American drafted in the NBA, drafted by the Celtics. 2 years later, 1952, 70 years ago today, the American Bowling Congress gives the okay to use the automatic pin setter machine. Up until April of 52, you got a job. One of your jobs at the bowling alley, you picked up the pins and you set them. People had those jobs for a few years after that. 1964, the Maple Leafs three-peat. They beat the Red Wings 4-0 in a deciding Game 7. 1974, the NFL moved the goalposts, and they also adopt a sudden death playoff. 1976, Rick Monday rescues the American flag. Remember the two protesters?
I saw that earlier. I thought for sure I was going to get you with errors and omissions on that one today. Well done.
Two protesters ran out onto the field. I think it was at Dodger Stadium. He was playing for the Cubs at the time. He would later, 5 years later, hit one of the biggest home runs in Dodgers history, won him the pennant on the way to the World Series. But he came over, pushed both of the protesters down, grabbed the flag, waited for security to take care of the protesters. Speaking of taking care of the protesters, How about that security guard at the T-Wolves
Give
game?
it up for the T-Wolves security staff. That's how you get it done.
That security guard just staring at that woman, going, there's something suspicious about her. She doesn't look like she belongs here.
Combine awareness.
No doubt. Tell you what, that's foul ball quickness right
It
there.
was. Very much so.
I do have one question, though. How did those two people get down to those seats? I mean, those are not cheap seats.
No, they are not.
I think one of them was dressed up as a referee, actually.
I mean, but still, you can be dressed up as a referee. It's easy to get access from those seats if you're walking out of the tunnel, okay, and you sit down. You've got to have a ticket to get to those seats. That's second row, baby.
Yeah, well.
Anyway, it's 1978, first ever appearance by the Philly Fanatic. My favorite mascot. Love the Philly Fanatic.
I like the Philly Fanatic.
I find them fun.
Underrated, San Diego Chicken overrated.
I agree. This day in 85, Gretzky scores 7 points in a playoff game, 3 goals, 4 assists. Oh, yeah, he did it for the second time. 4 years later, Mario Lemieux says, take this, Wayne. He scores an NFL playoff record 4 goals in the first period. Those two were pretty good. 1990, the Hubble Space Telescope was placed into orbit. 1993, on this day, the Patriots draft Bledsoe first overall. 13 years ago today, the Lions draft Matthew Stafford first overall. And 3 years ago today, the Cardinals draft Kyler Murray first overall. Mark Arthur Chevrolet, yes, car named after Arthur Chevrolet, Meadowlark Lemon, Ella Fitzgerald, and Jack Ruby, all born on this day and no longer with us. Vladislav Tretiak is 70 today. Adam Silver is 60. Joe Buck is 53. So is Renee Zellweger. Tim Duncan is 46. Hank Azaria is 58. I think it's funny that Buck and Azaria have the same birthday, just 5 years apart.
Yes, it is.
And how about this? Al Pacino and his screen sister, Talia Shire, both share the same birthday.
Really?
Al Pacino's 82 today, and Talia Shire's 76. And that is today was the day.
Just one little omission. The Joshua Tree hits #1 in America today in 1987.
That's a pretty good album.
Really good album.
It's maybe their best. That's
Probably.
I know it's close.
Probably.
You can debate it, but it's war rattle and hum. I know.
No.
I know.
I think you're probably right.
I was a monster.
Because there's not a bad song on it.
No, I was a monster.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go across the pond for the good, where George Tyndale was searching for his treasure. Had 15-year-old, had one of those big magnets, throwing it in different watersheds, trying to pull something up. When he pulled up a safe that had $2,500 in it, it also had expired bank cards that was enough to give him enough information to track down the owner of the safe. The safe was stolen 22 years ago, and the 15-year-old gave back Rob Everett his safe and his money. Rob offered the kid a job on the spot and said, it's there for you whenever you want it. For the bad, we go to Seminole County in Florida, where Jocelyn Bryant's a 31-year-old owner of a catering company, or I should say was, and Dania Savoda is a 42-year-old bride. They're both in trouble after basically feeding everybody at the reception a cannabis-laced reception dinner without any of their knowledge.
Oh, wow.
50 guests were there, and a 41-year-old guest said he felt like drugs were inside him, even though he only had food and alcohol. Some were vomiting. Others requested to be taken to the hospital. both the caterer and the bride were arrested. And the groom said with a blank expression that he did not know the food contained marijuana. I'm guessing he's going to get in trouble too. Finally, the ugly. We go to Illinois, where Tom Jossie was at the dentist for a routine procedure when he accidentally inhaled a 1-inch dental drill bit.
Damn.
Which became wedged in his lung.
That's a problem.
He coughed up some blood. He had surgery. It was removed. And my guess is he'll never go to the dentist again.
Certainly not that one.
And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, April the 25th, 2022.
3 NBA playoff games tonight. TNT with the doubleheader, for those of you so inclined, at 7 and 9:30. Early game, will the Celtics sweep the Nets? Brooklyn a 1-point favorite. Boy, don't you
stay away.
Don't you have to take the Celtics?
Just stay away.
So we think this baby's over? 3 of us sweep?
Maybe not tonight, but it's over.
Well, no. I'm talking about tonight's game. Is it
I'll
over?
take Brooklyn
Yes or
tonight.
no? All right, I'll take the Celtics. 9:30. It's Utah-Dallas, series tied at 2. Mavs, a 3-point favorite at home. I'll take the Mavs.
I'm with you.
Luka Magic tonight.
And the middle game, NBA TV at 8. Sixers, a 7.5-point favorite to close out Toronto.
Ooh, that's a big number. I don't know if I could lay that big of a number. I think the Sixers win, but I don't know. I don't know if I could justify putting that big of a number on it. What do you think?
It is a big number. I do think the Sixers win, though. Only one NHL game. Phillies at Chicago.
Don't bother with it. There's no need to watch it.
No, doesn't affect anything except maybe draft order. There's only 7 baseball games.
Neither Florida team in action tonight.
There's only 2 series that involve winning teams. Giants are in Milwaukee, and the Mets are in St. Louis. There you have it.
I do have a little bit of a follow-up for us, though.
Okay.
Last week, we talked about Mike Tyson beating up a passenger on an airplane.
Right.
Because the airplane passenger was a total jerk and was harassing him, finally threw a water bottle at him before Tyson
came over.
acted.
Right.
Turns out he's a Southwest Floridian.
Mike Tyson?
No, Melvin Townsend III. He's 36 and he lives in Punta Gorda.
Wow.
He was the guy who thought he was cool enough to terrorize Mike Tyson so much that Tyson would end up slapping him around a little bit.
What do you think the reaction was when he went to his favorite watering hole when he got back home?
By the accounts of the story, no one even seems to know. Like, they tried to get neighbors. I don't think this guy hangs out. I don't think he's hanging out in bars all that often.
Oh, the headline's perfect. Florida man tries Mike Tyson on an airplane.
So congratulations, Melvin. You made a follow-up from a good, bad, and ugly story.
Yeah, made Southwest Florida proud, right? Miller and Moulton. Pat Kerwin will join us tomorrow when we'll be less than 72 hours out from the NFL draft. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for spending some of it with us. Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network. David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if